it's Kyle, and we're back 10 toes in with Red Bull. His real name is Andrew Levinson, we've been told, and we got a lot of shit to talk about today.
Oh, it's going to get good.
It's going to get great.
Absolutely.
Why do they call you Red Bull?
Call it Red Bull because that's my case. In 2004, I did business opportunities for about 20 years. Business opportunities mean I created businesses for investors. So in 2004, I was looking for opportunities. I hadn't been doing anything for about a year. So what was hot in 2004? I'm going to convenience stores and people are selling Red Bull. Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar, they were huge.
Energy drinks.
Energy drinks, right. So how do I get involved with energy drinks? I can't really sell them directly because they have distributors. They have distributors that sell to the stores. But every can is different sizes. I don't know if Red Bull's about 8 ounces. Monster was huge. They don't fit in traditional vending machines. They don't. So I said, what if I made a vending machine and made it as the energy center and had all the energy drinks, Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar, Amp, all of them. So I did. I went to a manufacturer called Sega Manufacturing in Chicago, and they made me a machine because they knew I could sell. So I started selling that machine in 2004 with all the energy drinks. Now, I don't need permission from them because it's a push-button display. You see the can, you push it, it's a push-button display. Okay, it's not a fancy machine, but it was nice. I started selling those. I sold 3,000 of those in the first year.
So you were just selling the machine itself, not actually
the cans.
The cans.
Right, exactly.
So how do they stock? How does somebody that buys the machine stock the machine? Sam's Club?
Well, yes. I either give them distributors locally that will sell directly to them or Sam's Club. Sam's Club's pretty good prices. Like you could get a Red Bull for about $1.26, and you can get a Monster for about $1.15.
So who's buying these machines from you?
Oh, just regular people that want to be their own boss. Like say you're sick of your job, you want to be your own boss, you want your own route. I wouldn't sell one machine. I would sell 10 machines minimum. I'd sell a business package to get you in the business. So at the time with the Energy Center, it was 10 machines, and it was $30,000 for 10 machines. Like I said, these machines weren't gorgeous machines, but they were nice. They were serviceable. And it would say Energy Center on the side. Here's the big thing, though. Here's why the machines were better than others. You could put them anywhere because Coke machines, all the good locations are taken, right?
Yeah.
But this, you could put it right next to a Coke machine, and Coke machines for refreshment. This is an energy machine. So you're getting all the best locations because you can put them right next to a Coke machine. So it was a very hot product. So I was selling ones that sold all the energy drinks.
Coke doesn't like buy the real estate next to the machine, like an exclusive.
No. Most of the locations, 85 to 90% of them are just like places like warehouse, a gym, or something. And it's just basically a lot of times they say just put it there for convenience or give me a quarter a can. It depends on the relationship. But no, Coke doesn't have any kind of, not at all.
Stamp on the route.
So and 90% of vending machines are owned by individuals. I don't know if you know that. It's crazy. People think
that is true because when we had our pain clinics, we bought all our own vending machines,
right,
and stocked them. We did all that stuff to make that.
So think
money.
about that. You do that, and then you say, wait a minute, man, I could do a business like this. What if I had 30 machines out there? And I was a hustler, and I can get locations. That's how vending businesses start. People have 200 machines now. They didn't start with 200. They started with 4 or 5, 10 machines.
Because we would have people that would come to our pain clinics and we're like, so we started out first was somebody said, hey, I got machines. Can I rent your space to put them in there?
Exactly.
And they would pay us so much money to keep them there. And we're like, why should we pay when we can buy the machines, start it ourselves, and make the money?
Now, some people don't. They just say, I don't want the headache of it. I want my employees, like, for instance, like a call center. I don't want employees going down the street trying to get a Red Bull at the store and wasting time. Just have the machine here. You don't even have to give me any money for it. Just keep it stocked.
Yeah, we gave our office manager the option. So we let her do it and make the money.
So think about that. So I present it to people online as a business package. You can get into the vending business with a machine that's not out there yet. There's no Energy Center machines out there. There's no Red Bull machines. There's no Monster machines because they're tough to fit into traditional machines. Yeah. The sleeves don't fit. It's 12-ounce cans usually. So I create this machine, and people say, I like this. And so I started selling them 10 machines for $30,000, and I had about 20 salespeople. I had about 30 people working for me. You have to get registered. I've done this before. It's the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. You got to be registered. Any state that you sell to, you have to be registered in. You have to have a disclosure statement you send in the business package, saying all the laws in that state. So you have to do it professionally. And then you create a website. You have an office. The routine is to get a hot product to sell and get a wholesale price, which I did. So I started selling that machine. I sold 3,000 machines in the first year. People were doing well. They're putting them in, you name it, bowling alleys, a gym, a Bally's Fitness. You were putting it into like a warehouse. Call centers were great. A call center, they did incredible. So about a year in, all of a sudden on a Friday, my secretary says, hey, it's 4:30, unannounced. She says, the CEO of Red Bull is in the lobby. He wants to meet with you. I'm like, what? His name is Dietrich Warnschitz. It was a weird name. His last name I can't even pronounce to this day. But anyways, he said Dietrich's out there, and he has a guy that's the head of the Red Bull North America and a lawyer out there. So it's 3 people. I look down the hall, and my lobby's there with my machine, and I see 3 guys at the couch. And I say, Dietrich. So I look him up, Google him, and this guy's the inventor of Red Bull. He's in my office in Sunrise, Florida. The guy's from Austria. And I'm like, why is this guy here? So I let him in the office. It's 4:30. I'm trying to go to South Beach with my wife. It's Friday. Everybody's trying to leave. So he comes in my office. He sits down, and he looks at me and says, what's that machine that's in your lobby? I said, it's the Energy Center. I've been selling it. He goes, how many machines have you sold in the last year? I said, about 3,000. He goes, no way. I said, what? I said, why are you here? He said, and he introduced me to everybody. My name's Dietrich. This is Gary Smith was the head of Red Bull North America at the time. He was there. And the other guy was a lawyer from Austria that came to his regular office. So this guy is already worth
Arnold Schwarzenegger on the
he sounds like he's Austrian. He sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a little more polished because I think he went to school in England, but he sounds like Schwarzenegger, yeah.
What is this machine?
What was that?
Well, this is machine here.
What was it? Oh, yeah, like that. Oh, yeah, worse than that, though, worse than that. So I'm like, why are you here? And he's like, well, we'll talk about that later. I said, no, I'm trying to, I'm
Friday,
intrigued.
dude, we're in
Friday,
Florida, man.
Right.
You're Red Bull. What the fuck?
Exactly, right. So at the time, I'm making good money. I'm making probably 20, 30,000 a week. I mean, life is good.
So did you look him up before he came in?
Yes.
Because he's thinking like, who in the world, like usually the CEO doesn't show up to somebody's business. So it's
100%.
like, who the hell?
This guy's worth $10 billion at the time. He's worth more after. He's dead now. But
So you're thinking he wants to do a deal, or you're in big fucking trouble?
I'm thinking he wants to do a deal. Absolutely. Okay. He's not going to come there to Sunrise, Florida. Like he told me he was in Miami for like some Red Bull event. I don't think so. Okay, and he brings in the Red Bull. He brings in the North America chief. He was from California, so all these guys come together to meet me in my office in Sunrise, Florida. My company was Creative Concepts of America. So he's sitting there, and I did look him up, and I looked him up that he owned a soccer team at the time. Just bought the soccer team, bought a Formula One team. This guy's real,
right?
So he sits there and he says, "Listen, I'm going to show you something." I said, "Okay."
Good job, Jason.
He said, I'm going to show you something. So what? I said, what? He says, I'm going to show you a picture of my machine. Okay. You got a machine? I didn't even know Red Bull had a machine. So basically, he shows me a picture of a Red Bull machine.
Okay.
It's 6 foot tall, bubble front, looks like a can of Red Bull. It's gorgeous, a gorgeous machine, state-of-the-art machine. So I said, there's only 3 people in the world that can make that machine. There's Dixie Narco, there's National, and there's Royal. Those are only 3 people that can make that style of machine. And he says, yeah, Royal makes it, Royal Vendors out of West Virginia. They're big. I said, okay, good. Okay, it's a beautiful machine. I said, how many machines have you put out in the last year? He says, 500. I said, that's why. Now I know why you're here. You only put out 500 machines? Royal probably thinks you're going to be the next Coca-Cola, right? 500 machines is nothing. You got some people in Miami that own 500 machines themselves.
Right.
So you're here to get me to push this machine. Okay. So he's
Was that why he's there?
Of course. So he's figuring, like, Royal's probably on his case saying that you only bought 500 machines in a year. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. And then he wanted to get out 30, 40,000 machines in the marketplace because it's good marketing. Think about that. You got a machine
that looks like the Red Bull.
It looks like a can. But you put up.
They already have cars that look like a Red Bull. Why not make a machine?
Exactly. So you
remember that? They had the little Mini Coopers that look just like Red Bulls.
But if you put a machine in front of a Publix, right, that looks like a can, it's a bubble front. Even if somebody doesn't buy a can there, you're more apt to buy cans inside if you see that gorgeous machine.
Free advertisement.
Of course. So he says, listen, this is our plan. He says, I'm going to look it up. I don't think you sold 3,000 of those machines because that machine's a piece of crap. It wasn't a piece of crap. It was serviceable. It said Energy Center. It was just a nice machine. It wasn't as gorgeous as his machine. But I did sell 3,000 because I can sell. And I know how to market. So, but if I can sell 3,000 of those, what can I sell of a Red Bull endorsed machine that looks like a Red Bull can? I could print money with that. I could sell, you name it, 30,000 machines a week if I wanted, if they could make it. So he says, how would you like to sell this exclusively? And I'll give you exclusive for the North America, but I'll give you exclusive for the world if you can sell 1,000 machines a month. I said, 1,000 machines a month? I'll sell 10,000 machines a month. So he says, okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm a great marketer. I'm a great advertiser. I'm a great salesperson, but I'm not a great CEO. I'm not, okay?
You're not or he's not?
I'm not.
You're not. Okay.
He might not be either, but no, he obviously got $1 billion company, so he must be. My point is, I have leverage there. They're coming to me. I should have created a lot better contract, but I'm just like a kid in the candy store. I'm thinking about I'm going to make $100 million off this easy. So, but I shouldn't have thought that way because he's coming to me. So my leverage is I'm going to do a deal that's going to help me and him, right? But no, I'm a giddy schoolgirl going, this is Red Bull. This guy's worth, $20 billion.
That would be anybody because If you think
Yeah.
about it, the CEOs come to you, not one of his minions.
Right.
So that should have been the first point. But hear me out on this, though. Somebody that big, did it ever come across your mind that if you didn't take what deal he wanted, that he would try to destroy you?
No, because I can sell. Nobody
He
ever
wasn't worried about that.
I never in my mentality, I don't care if you copy me. I never was like that. Like if I have a product or service that I know is saleable, I don't care. You can do it. You can do it 10 times over. So answer your question, no. It never crossed my mind because what I was selling was a machine that wasn't out there yet. I got a year head start. Remember I told you all the cans don't fit in traditional machines. I get a Sega manufacturer who did me solid, and I did him wrong because I left him like a redheaded stepchild after Red Bull came along. This guy made a nice machine for me, and I put 3,000 out. But now he's the ugly duckling now.
Because you got the Red Bull machine.
Of course. And he comes to me, and we meet in Miami. He's staying at the Mandarin, and he says, listen, Red Bull's going to screw you. And at the time, I'm thinking he's sour grapes because his machine isn't nice. But I shouldn't have stopped selling that machine because that machine sells all the energy drinks. Think about that. I didn't realize at the time that Red Bull only sells Red Bull, right?
Right.
My Energy Center machine sells all of it. But I'm thinking, because an investor looks at an opportunity and sees Red Bull, they're going to go. It's instant credibility, right?
It's like getting your product in Walmart. Even though you make a small percentage, but everybody I talk to says you grow so big.
No, but I'm saying the sellable of it, the sellability of it. Like if I can sell a machine that's a generic machine with no representation, if I have a machine that says Red Bull on the side, it's endorsed by Red Bull, you can call Red Bull and say they're doing business with me. That's a laydown.
Yeah, it is.
That's a laydown. So what I did was I created a contract, and it was just a push-pull contract, which called that. That's basically a buy-sell. They agree to sell me the machine, and they agree to sell me cans, which is important because I want to sell cans too. So they're going to sell me cans for 88 cents, which is great because I sold them for 99 cents. And, you make 11 cents. It's something. And then they agreed to sell me the machines through Royal. So I send the checks to Royal, but they're letting me buy the machines. So this is August of 2005. Like I said, I've already been selling the other machine for a year. I stopped selling the other machine, which I shouldn't have. I should have sold it dual, but I didn't want people to call in and say, what should I buy? Should I buy that machine or this machine? Because I would have to make a choice. You could say, hey, it's your choice. This one holds all the energy drinks. This is sponsored by Red Bull. I didn't want a conflict, but I should have sold both because it would give me leverage. If anyone wants to leave me, I can go to the other one. Okay. So in August, I start selling the Red Bull machine. And I go from selling, I could have sold 10,000 the first week, but they couldn't make that many. So the first month I sold 7,000 machines. And Royal calls me up and says, oh, we can't make 7,000 machines in a month. I said, what? You told me to sell as many as I could. Oh, and I know what Red Bull told you. We can't keep up with that volume. So Red Bull calls him and says, this is ridiculous. Keep up with the volume. Let him sell whatever he wants. We can't make him that quick. So they called me and they said, listen, we have a part that costs $300,000 that we can start to make them that quick, but it costs like $3. I said, you're asking me to buy it? Ask Red Bull to buy it. It's their machine. Well, Red Bull said that you could buy it. So I paid them $300,000 to the manufacturer that manufactures it for Red Bull to make these machines quicker.
That's crazy.
Yes. And so I started selling them. And what's crazy at the time, I had about 30 employees. Then I went to 150 employees. This is where me not being a great CEO
So were
comes
you selling them worldwide?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. So where was the most sales you would get? What country?
United States.
United States?
Yeah, United States. But I would sell them worldwide, but I didn't get as many leads from like international. I get some, but mostly the United States, all over the United States. And also I wasn't registered to sell internationally through the federal government, so I did eventually get registered. But at the time I started, I was only registered in all 50 states in the United States, so I couldn't sell internationally because you have to be registered. Now, some people sell without being registered. They do it illegally. They just sell.
So what was your profit margin?
My profit margin, I never would sell one machine. I sold 10 machines with 5,000 cans for $50,000.
Now, what was your cost of them?
My cost for the machines was $2,400. My cost for the cans was 88 cents. But then I have commission for the salespeople. I have overhead. I have marketing. So you put it all together, I probably, on a $10,000 in my pocket, probably made $8,000 to $9,000.
Now, did you ever ask why they wanted you to pay the $300,000? Like why they wouldn't do it? So
I did, and they said that first of all, Red Bull said they made it a conflict with them and Red Bull, saying that Red Bull said like you make the machines and we said yes. So Red Bull put it on them they told Red Bull they could make as many machines as they want. That's what Red Bull told me. They said that's BS. They said we told Red Bull we could make like maybe 1,000, 2,000 machines a month, but then Red Bull was only buying 5 machines for the whole year, so it wasn't a problem. You know, understand? Until I came along. So when I came along, they didn't believe that I was going to sell that much. They didn't believe I was going to sell the first month, sell 7,000 machines.
Manufacturing say, hey, we can produce what you want, but you got to get the
Exactly.
machine for us. Like, I've never.
So
usually they're like, hey, we're going to get this machine. We're going to do whatever it takes to keep
Think
you.
about this. I had a conflict with
You
them.
could have left.
I'm on a conference call and I'm saying, I'm giving you money. The first month, right? I bought 7,000 machines at $2,400. Do the math. I'm giving them $16, $17 million the first month. And you want $300,000 for a part? You know what they told me? Oh, we don't make as much of the machines. Our margin is very small. Then charge me more for the machine. Don't give me that. Don't give me that you're not making much money on the machines. I don't want to hear that. I'm giving you business. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, trust me, I know.
So that's what happened. So the first month I sell 7,000. They start to crank it up when I give them the 300,000. So the second month I could have sold 30,000, but I have to rear it back because they can only make 6,000, 7,000 a month. I could have sold anything. I could have got $1 billion the first year.
I mean, think about it. I want to say at that time, what year was this again?
This is 2005.
Think about it. Around that time, I think almost every gas station had one of them.
Yes.
Every one of them in there.
So think about the pitch. Like the people say, when somebody calls you for a business opportunity, they want to know three things. Who are you? Give me some credibility. Most people don't even come to see you. They send you $50,000 just from your business package and seeing your website, and that's it. But some people want, they want credibility. So that's easy. I have a contract with Red Bull, Better Business Bureau, Dun & Bradstreet. You can call Red Bull. They do business with me. So it's easy to know. I accept credit cards. That's kind of crazy, but it's a great selling point. Think about this. If you can put $50,000 to buy 10 machines, you think a credit card merchant is going to do business with me if I ship you no machines or I ship you bad machines? Of course not. I wouldn't be able to have a merchant account, right? So it's easy to show credibility. The second thing they want to do is, hey, how much is this machine doing? I mean, how much can I make? So that's the tricky part. The FTC says that before 1997, you could say anything. It was caveat emptor. You could say the machine makes 200 sales a day. And as long as you shipped the machine and it was in working order, you could say anything. It was wild, wild west. After 97, you said you have to have at least 10% of your people do the numbers that you say. And you have to show those 10%. Now, Madoff came along. After Madoff, they said you can't say any numbers. No numbers.
Why is that?
Because people were saying outrageous numbers. They were saying, for traditionally, like somebody says, how much does a machine do? This is what I would say. Say it was in Bally's Fitness. Bally's is a realistic place that you can get a Bally's. If you thought it was in a Bally's Fitness, a Red Bull machine, how many cans a day you think it could do in a 15-hour day? How many cans it could sell? Just take a guess. That being a neophyte.
Phew, I don't know. I mean, we don't know the volume of people coming through there.
Bally's. You been to a Bally's?
Mm-mm.
Bally's are a fitness center.
No, I don't think. Do we have them down here, Kyle?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
say
I
LA
think so.
Fitness. So
Okay, LA Fitness.
give me a gym.
Okay.
200.
Okay, 200.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be conservative. I mean, 200 is, let's say it does 30, 40 a day. You think it can do 30 a day?
Okay.
Okay, that's 2 an hour. Okay, we'll do 30 a day, the numbers. You're buying it from me for 99 cents. You're selling it for $2. You're making $1 a sale. Okay, 30 a day is $30 a day. You have 10 machines. That's $300 a day. That's not going to make you rich. That's $2,000 a week. That's $100,000 a year. That's doubling your money in a year, and you still own the machines for years. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah.
And you bought the machine for
But 10 machines for $50,000.
right. So you bought the machine for $5,000.
Well, yeah,
I
and you
mean,
got
you had
5,000.
the 10 machines. but
Right, exactly. So
per
is
unit
that a good
cost.
opportunity?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
'Cause-
what I just did, that's illegal.
Why?
That's called inducement. Because now you think you're going to get 30 sales a day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're thinking, hey, if I get it, I'm probably going to do around 30, right? I can't guarantee. In fact, my purchase order says, I can't guarantee you'll make anything.
So people were suing over it, weren't they?
No, they weren't suing. No, not at all. Because my purchase order says, I don't place the machines. I can't guarantee any specific level of income. But is people pissed when they go out there and they say they get 3 or 4 sales a day? But I can't do anything about that. It's Red Bull. Shouldn't people be buying it? My point is, now you're thinking you're going to do 30 a day. The way you're supposed to pitch is this. Do you think Red Bull can sell? Do you think Red Bull's selling out there now? In 2005, do you think Red Bull's hot?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It was
Go to a
huge.
convenience store and ask them how much they're selling. They're going to sell you big numbers, right? Have you ever used a vending machine?
Yes.
Okay. Do people use vending machines?
Yes.
Do people buy Red Bull?
Yes.
Okay, put it together and you put the combination and that's it. But people want to hear more. They want to hear tangible numbers. This is why I got in trouble for fraud, okay? I shipped 30,000 machines. Everybody got exactly what was on their purchase order. So people say, what did you do wrong? Why'd you get 17 years? This is why. I'll dummy it down for people that don't know about fraud. If I sold 3,000 Lamborghinis and both of you bought Lamborghinis from me, and I sold 3,000 guys beautiful new Lamborghinis, and it went 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, and it's a Lamborghini, But while I was pitching you to buy the Lamborghini for $300,000, I'm selling it for $300,000. You're probably going to get beautiful girls, I say. You're probably going to get diamonds. It's a Lamborghini, right? Okay. And nobody got girls. That's fraud. I sold it fraudulently. Even though you got the Lamborghini, it's beautiful. It rides. It's a Lamborghini. But listen now. If I sold you for $300,000 and I bought it for $250,000, I bought it for $250,000. It's a Lamborghini. How much would the fraud be in your mind?
$50,000.
Okay. So the government's all $300,000. You know why? You know why? Because you wouldn't have bought the Lamborghini unless it said you're going to get beautiful girls. So the same thing with the Red Bull. No, that's how the government works.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know.
That's how the government works. That's what fraud is.
Yeah.
That's what fraud is.
It's funny because Chris George in the pain clinic thing got in trouble, or they held it against him. He said, how am I responsible for something that's like somebody buying a Lamborghini and they go out and do 300 mile an hour and wreck and kill themselves?
But I'm saying this. Think about this. If you're on the purchase order, it says 10 Red Bull machines. These are state-of-the-art, gorgeous machines. I mean, shaped like a Red Bull can. It's a gorgeous machine. So if you bought 10 machines and 5,000 cans, that's what the purchase order says. And at your house or wherever you wanted it shipped, you get 10 machines. They're in working order. They're gorgeous, right? You get 5,000 cans. Have I done my job?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what if you go out there and you put the 10 machines out there? I don't know where you're going to put them, but you put them in decent locations, and they only do 4 or 5 sales a day. Is that my fault?
It's like my freaking problem with PayPal.
Okay. No, but
hear me out on this.
Okay, go.
So hear me on this. This is where I have an issue with this. So say, for instance, I want to buy 10 machines from you, right? And you say, hey, I can't tell you what they're going to do or not like that because it's fraud, right? But I go to ChatGPT and say, what is the average sales, or if I buy machines, what are people usually getting? They're saying 10 to 20.
Right.
Why aren't they held responsible for the same thing that me and you are if we say the same thing that the internet says?
Okay, here's the thing. Because with the government, I'm in the FTC, okay, Federal Trade Commission, okay? I sell business opportunities. This is the big difference I'm going to tell you. Now think about this. What you said was exactly true. It should be that way. And in fact, in my business package, I put the national average that the government put for vending machines, that the government says, okay? But I'm a business opportunity. I'm in what they consider a skeevy business because 90% of these people say any kind of numbers. Some of them don't even ship product. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, we just had a fraud guy on that.
So that's what I'm saying. Most of fraud, like my fraud is not black and white. You look at my case, it's not black and white. If I didn't ship the machines and I didn't ship the cans, that would be black and white, right?
Correct.
Mine's gray, very gray.
We had a fraudster on that bought timeshares and they actually never bought the
That's
timeshares.
what I'm saying. So most of the people that get in trouble, excuse me, are that. So the difference is I'm in a cesspool, but I have a contract with Red Bull. I actually shipping machines. I'm doing the right thing. Do we ship hard? Of course. Do we ship tough? Do we have some people on the sales guys that are New Yorkers that push people? Of course. You go to a brokerage, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but my point is I'm in a cesspool industry. Now, here's the thing. At the time I was starting, Madoff starts. Everything gets a catalyst. Every kind of crime out there that gets more punishment. If I did this Red Bull 20, 30 years ago, I would have got 2 years. I would have got almost a pass. You know what? I probably would have got a pass because I shipped the machines. Here's the thing. Like drugs in the 80s, like crack, there was no laws against. In 83, 84, 85, the crack laws were nothing. You get caught with crack, it's nothing. And then Lenny Bias happened. And then Lenny Bias dies.
For you, it's the Georges.
Yep.
No, the pain clinic's the Georges. No, everybody's got a catalyst.
I mean,
but the point is,
if the
think about
Georges
this.
have gotten
Before Lenny Bias dies, and he's a basketball player, gets picked second in
for
the
the
draft.
Maryland, yeah.
Okay. Before he dies, Nancy Reagan and the drug thing, they can't pass any laws against crack. They're saying crack's nothing. But then he dies and said, oh, he's a healthy guy, 21 years old. And then the crack laws all got passed. With Madoff, before Madoff, they're saying white collar. I'm nonviolent. I ship the product. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? But Madoff happens, everybody's like Madoff because Madoff sells air.
And Madoff sold air. He didn't do anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Madoff
like
sold
Jordan
air.
Belfort. How do you?
Jordan Belfort sold air. Cloyd sold air.
If you let people don't realize what air is selling nothing. They're making something up.
That's like we were talking about it when we did the other show. And my thing, I didn't sell air. You could come to my spot.
I sold machines, tangible machines, right?
It was as real as you could walk in the roundhouse like you'd walk in 700.
Well, think about it this way. I just made a post says the DEA was my dope dealer.
Right.
Okay, so the DEA gave me my license, inspected my building, and gave me the pills to push.
Right.
They put me in business,
There you
monitor
go.
me and everything else.
Let me take it one step further. Do you know who the biggest supplier of child pornography is in the world?
The government.
The United States government.
Absolutely. They put out there for the traps.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't be looking at that stuff anyways. But I'm saying that's a great point. But they go further. They just want W's. This is what they do.
No, I agree. That's what I tell people all the time.
They're not about justice. They're about W's. But I'm gonna take it further for you. Listen to this. So I'm selling business opportunities, right? Nothing wrong with that. It could other people doing wrong things, but they licensed me. I went and got licensed in all 50 states. Okay, I went through a lawyer, paid the fee. I send a disclosure statement for every state. If you call from Georgia, I have to send you all the laws in Georgia when you get a business package from me to buy the opportunity. That actually helps sales, by the way, because it looks like you're transparent. You have to do it. So think about this. I'm licensed with the FTC in all 50 states. I've been licensed for 20 years doing other opportunities. The FTC goes to my trial, and we ask them, how many times have you posed as an investor and called up to get a business package from companies that I've owned in the 20 years I've owned companies? They say 749. How many times did you call Red Bull, Creative Concepts of America? How many times did you call them individually to pose as an investor, to see how they're pitching, to see if they're doing the rules? We said 228. So they called 228 times to Creative Concepts of America for the Red Bull opportunity. The FTC, what I'm licensed in. So we asked them, did you ever fine him? Did you ever say, stop selling that way? Did you ever say you can't do that? No. So the Federal Trade Commission is overseer of what I do, and they never had a problem with what I'm doing.
And we're going to get into it. You lost at trial, but that is absolutely crazy because I have a story that relates to that when we're going to get to it. It boils down to one thing. Their FCC people said you did nothing wrong.
Yes.
Okay, just like me. In my case, they said that we prescribed outside the guidelines of medical practice.
Right.
But you didn't prescribe shit because you're not a doctor.
I wasn't a doctor. I was an investor. That's why they did a conspiracy
Sure.
to wrap everybody up. When the jury was asking questions, they pretty much sent a note, or I can't remember how it played out, but they were like, we want to see the guidelines of medical practice in black and white.
Right.
There isn't one.
That's crazy.
There isn't one. So I
But
understand.
with mine, there is one, and I went by it.
That's what I'm saying.
So here's what's crazy. Now, this is the absolute craziest thing about my case is that the Trade Commission oversees this and had 228 calls. Think about this. I was only in business for about a year and a half with the Creative Concepts. In a year and a half, 228 calls, that's like 4 calls a week. Overseeing to see I'm doing the right thing. To see I'm putting out the business package, I'm pitching the right way, I'm doing everything the right way, okay? That's a lot of time to see if I've done something wrong. But people don't realize the catalyst in any kind of case, the catalyst of a business opportunity case is complaints with the government. If you don't have any complaints, unresolved complaints, you can do it. No, seriously, you can do anything. Like for instance, Madoff. Like everybody can say, I think he's doing a Ponzi scheme with that. If you don't have complaints, solid complaints saying I'm getting screwed, the government will let you do something. Even though the government knew Madoff was doing a Ponzi scheme. The government knew it. Think about the government's not stupid. You can't get the numbers he was giving people. It's impossible. You'd have to be an alien and come and see the future about stocks to give the numbers that he was giving on a consistent basis. Seriously. But the government doesn't have any complaints. If the government doesn't have any complaints, they're not going to do anything.
So who complained against you?
So listen now. So for the first year and a half I'm doing, I have no unresolved complaints. If you really complain, and I think that you really got a raw deer, I say, Mr. Jones, I don't have to give you your money back. It says I have a no money back policy. Once I ship the machines, you got them. But in your case, you're having a hard time, I'm going to give you the money back. I'm not going to do that on a regular basis, but I might do that with somebody. So I have no unresolved complaints with Better Business Bureau, with Dun & Bradstreet, with anybody up until this point. I'll tell you when. So a year in, I've sold 30,000 machines. Red Bull says, come to Vegas for a trade show. We want to talk about the future. So Dietrich flies in. Okay, he flies in with all his boys to Vegas. We do a trade show. This is March of 2006. So we go to this trade show. He says, bring your general manager, bring your sales manager, and bring the girl that's ahead of your selling the cans. Because he sold cans to people across the country. So she had a coordinator. Bring her in. Because we have a new computer system that we want to give you. I said, okay, great, okay. We go to Vegas. We go to the trade show at the convention center. It's all the new state-of-the-art vending machines, and the Red Bull has its own little section. And, Red Bull's Red Bull, right? So we go meet there. And Dietrich tells me, listen, I need you to tell me your next 6 months projections because I need that Royal to stay ahead of them. He's asking me about 6 months projections in the future. So I give it to him. He says, hey, what about that new can ordering system that I told you about? I said, yeah, you're going to give me a new can? Yeah, well, this is the girl. You're going to train her. But you need to buy the system. It's $100,000. I'm like, oh, God, I didn't tell. So I give him the $100,000. So he goes over the future and what you're going to do. So we talk about what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Okay. At the end, he invites me to a party at the Palms, at the Real World Suite at the Palms. Their Red Bull party. So, Paris Hilton was there and Jeremy Graff we were talking to. So it's a party for Red Bull. So I'm part of the team, right? I've been doing business with him a year and a half. He's telling me about the future. I'm going to a Red Bull party, and that's it. So we're at the Palms party. And it's funny. McGrath comes. McGrath is like a motorcycle guy, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Supercross,
talking, right? And he likes I like what you're doing. I like this. And he says, my buddy, what's the guy's name that does the ridiculousness? You know what I'm talking about. Rob Deerdick. Rob Deerdick.
Yeah.
He goes, I want you to talk to Rob Deerdick because Rob Deerdick loves your machine, but he can't get a machine. He called Red Bull, and Red Bull said the only person that can sell machines. So Red Bull at least Red Bull did that. They wouldn't give person a machine because I was it. So Deerdick.
But I thought if they're sponsored by them, they would get them.
No.
That's crazy.
At the time, because I was selling so many machines. Remember, I met that contract that if I sold this amount of machines. So it's funny. He put me on the phone with Deerdick at that party, and Deerdick calls me up and says that I want a machine for my house. Remember, he was doing a machine with the big black guy.
Yeah.
Big, I think it was his name. So the machine that you see in his house during that time when his show was a machine I sent. I didn't sell it to him. I just gave it to him. That's the only time I ever gave one machine away. So long story short, McGrath says, "Hey, watch out with these guys," and I'm like, "What?" McGrath says, "Just watch out with these Red Bull guys." And I said, "All right." And it's funny because I left the party and they glad handed me Dietrich and the Gary Smith, the head of Red Bull North America, say, "Hey, you have a good time?" Yeah. And I was staying at the Bellagio at the time and gambling and doing. So it was during the tournament, the basketball tournament. So Bellagio was kicking. And so I'm thinking about what McGrath told me. And I'm like, he looked like he was serious, like he knew something about like what Red Bull's practices were. Okay. So I go back to the office and it's April. And about 10 days later, I get a cease and desist in the mail saying that we're not doing business with you anymore. That's it. I'm like, what?
Red Bull?
Red Bull sends me a certified package that I have to sign for that inside says, it says like a 2-word sentence. It says, we're not doing business with Creative Concepts, so you can't buy cans or machines anymore from this date on. Now I have a contract with them saying 90-day push-pull contract. You have 90 days to give me notice. So here's the thing. It wouldn't have created chaos unless this happened. They have email addresses of every 3,000 of my people that bought from me. They have their email addresses because they send them cans. I don't have cans. When somebody buys cans from me, I don't have a warehouse for 10 million cans. You just get cans from the local distributor. So what happens is they got their email address. They send an email to every one of my people on a Friday and said, we're not doing business with Creative Concepts anymore. Think about how chaos that created.
And they got all your contracts.
No, not on my contract. These are just people that bought machines from me. These are my distributors. They have their emails for the cans.
Your
So
customers.
they send, like say you bought 10 machines from me 2 months before. You just got the machines. You're putting them out there. You get an email saying Red Bull says, I'm not doing business with these guys anymore. It's still your machines. Legally, it's your machines. They can't take away the machines from you. They can't take away the cans. But like now you're saying, if I do well, how do I get more machines? How do I get more cans? Because I can't sell them to you anymore. That's what they're saying. So of course you're going to call me up saying, what's the deal, right? Now they didn't say I did anything wrong. They just said we're not doing business with them anymore. Now that creates chaos. Now say that you just got the machine.
So did you call them? Like, what the fuck?
I did. I called them. I said, what is this? So I called Red Bull North America. They said, no, it's not our decision. It's Red Bull headquarters in Austria. So I call Austria. And of course, Dietrich doesn't answer the phone because he's a slime bag. So their lawyers answer the phone. I said, listen, I got a 90-day contract. It's a breach of contract. I'm going to sue you. And I said, this is not even fair. It's not even legal. I mean, I need some time enough to wheel this down. And they said, listen, we're Red Bull. I said, I know. They said, sue us. And they hung up. So basically,
is there any reason why they did this?
Of course. There's 3 reasons.
Okay,
One
let's
is
go.
they're at that trade show with all their distributors across the country. So all their distributors that sell cans all hate me because I'm making money from Red Bull. Why? I don't know. I never knew that because if you're a distributor at the stores, say you're a local distributor selling cans to the stores, I should help you. If I put a Red Bull machine in front, it's going to help your sales inside, right? It's not the same. Vendors aren't the same as bottlers, you know what I mean, can distributors. So why the animosity? Here's the animosity. I had distributors that would put it out, say, in front of a Publix, great location. So one of my distributors is doing gangbusters. The guy at the Publix that delivers the Red Bull says, whoa, this is a nice machine. I didn't even know the Red Bull had a machine. I'm the distributor. I want to put a machine in there. They'll call Red Bull and say, hey, get this guy out of there. And they'd tell the manager of the Publix to say, if you don't get him out, I'm not going to sell you cans inside. So the guy kicks my vendor out. So he calls me and says, they kicked me out. Red Bull should be helping me sell, not hurting me. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So their distributors, like, there was animosity with us. So they're at the trade show telling them, you don't need this guy. And then the second thing is they wanted to put out 30,000 machines out there to get the buzz out. I already did. So now I'm like, not useless, but, well, we really don't need you anymore. You've done that. You showed us the blueprint. Okay? And here's the third thing. The third thing is business opportunities. You got to realize not everybody does well. So you get some complaints like, hey, I didn't get the numbers. So Red Bull doesn't want to be involved in that skeeviness where not everybody does flowers and everybody does the best numbers. So you put all that together. I've already done the job to get the machines out. Because in the beginning, they could have put out 30,000 machines themselves. But 30,000 machines times $2,400, you do the math, like $80 million. But they had $80 million. They had billions, right? But why not get it to me to do it for free? For free. So that's what I did. So when they shut down the contract and sent emails to everybody, that created chaos. Think about that. I'm getting calls from someone. You just got machines. You just got your 10 machines. They're beautiful. Oh, wow. I'm ready to put them out. I'm excited, right? I just got my 5,000 cans. And then you get an email saying Red Bull's not involved anymore. Maybe you call me up and say, I'm going to send you back the machines. I'm not going to take back the machines. I've already bought them, right? I've already paid for everything. And I shouldn't have to. Well, oh, Red Bull's not involved. How am I going to buy cans now, they say? When these machines, you have to buy cans from Sam's Club, or Costco. Well, how much do they cost there? About $1.29. Well, I'm buying it for you for 90-something cents. Maybe I'm going to, that's a problem, right? If I do well, how am I going to buy more machines?
Damn.
I can't sell machines because they shut my contract down.
So that's what hurts
So
you in the end?
of course, it's chaos. Before that, no. I've been doing business opportunities for 20 years. I never went to jail. I never even got fined. And think about this. Do you think I pitched harder when I was a kid at 20-something years old, had no reputation? Or did I pitch harder when I had Red Bull behind me? I pitched softer with Red Bull because it's an easier sale, right?
Oh, yeah.
So think about that. I probably did things a lot more legally then than I did.
It was self-selling. When you had Red Bull behind it, it sold itself.
There you go.
You didn't have to push as hard.
No, you didn't have to push that. So, and that's a good point because at the trial, out of those, remember the 400 people that called? They took 78 tapes. The government made 78 tapes of my salespeople pitching that they posed as investors, and they brought the CDs to trial. They have 78 tapes that played 4 of the tapes. Okay, these are tapes of just anonymous calls to my salespeople posing as investors to see if you're doing the right thing. Okay, they play 4 of the heavy hitters, New York guys that will, they're tough, right? We go to play the other 74, but say, hey, this is just an aberration. Like 4 people are tough, but 74 people stay with the script. Not everybody is the same. Okay. So when we play the other 74, we go to play the CDs, and the prosecution says, no, don't play those. This is hearsay. We've already played 4. We already know about the salespeople. And these are your CDs. So Judge Kahn says, let's do a sidebar. They do a sidebar. The sidebars were usually 2-3 minutes in my trial. This sidebar was a half an hour. Half an hour of them back and forth. They shut the microphone down. After the half an hour, Judge Kahn goes, it's a 50-50 decision, but I'm going to say we've heard enough salespeople. Now, I know why he made that decision. Yes, I know why he made the decision.
Why?
My trial was already about 2 months old. Every day he apologized to the jury saying, I'm sorry, I thought this was going to be a 3-4 week trial. It's taken so long. It's their duty, right, to be there, right? But he was apologizing daily. He knew that if we played the other 74 tapes, it was going to take another 2-3 weeks.
They know the longer when the trial goes long like that, it put fans in your
exactly
because they start getting angry.
They start getting angry,
Yep.
and he's actually even like blaming us for the trial to take longer. So now it's going to take another 2-3 weeks. He says no. So on appeal, I appealed that decision, and the government said absolutely. The judge made an error, and they said it was a harmless error. But it's their CDs, and we didn't get to play their own stuff. It's insanity. Because we played the other 74. This is what's going to happen. They're going to hear a bunch of other salespeople and say, hey, maybe it was only a couple rogue salespeople. Maybe everybody was staying with the script. Maybe they didn't pitch that tough. You see what I'm saying?
So I got a story to relate in that. So they put on all these witnesses of my patients that came in, and this relates to you to give a better understanding for the people. So they would put them on because we don't get depositions in the feds.
Right.
We don't get to. Our attorneys get to meet with their witnesses to pre-talk to them, see if they change a story on the stand, and try to see where they go so we know what questions to ask them. We go in there blinded, folded.
Right, exactly.
We only know what they put in the thing, and that goes even deeper than all this. So they would put them on to talk about this elaborate story of all this stuff, and they would, it was like scripted.
Right.
So my attorney would get up there and be like, okay, so you admitted that you lied about having prior, you admitted lying about this, or you didn't tell the doctor this. So you lied, is that correct? And they're like, well, yes and no. And they're like, well, why didn't you tell the doctor the truth? And he said, well, if we told him the truth, we wouldn't get nothing. What do you mean you wouldn't get nothing? Well, if we told him stuff that he would have to not prescribe us because we told him. So we all had a mutual understanding that we wouldn't, whatever. So we had asked the prosecution to put that we subpoenaed some of the agents that were in the case and said, hey, did you ever try to infiltrate the thing? Just like you said the FTC did with you. Call all the time, whatever.
Absolutely.
So they would put the agents and try to get through, and they couldn't get past the front desk. And then when they get past the front desk, they make the second one. And they were like, well, why'd you get kicked out? Oh, because we put this, we put that. So you were trying to see if we would accept you this. And we're like, so why didn't you think you made it? And they're like, oh, we didn't make it because they knew we were law enforcement or they knew it was this and we
Right.
were covered
They're
up.
always
And it's
gonna
like,
say
come
that.
on, man. Like, let's get out of here
But
with this.
what's crazy is to cut to the chase with people that don't know about this, right? This is important now. They will change the rules if they aren't getting their favor. Think about this now. When you go to trial in the feds, you can't say how much time you're looking at. Okay? You
Right.
can't say
They
that.
can't- the
I
ju-
can't
they
say
cannot
I'm looking
tell-
at 20
right.
years. Okay? So listen to this. The people need to know this. I'm a white collar guy. I've ran businesses for 20 years. I've never been arrested in my life. Okay? I go there, nice suit on, made all that money. Okay? They think I'm a little arrogant. I guarantee that jury thinks I'm going to get 2 years, slap in the wrist, because I'm white collar, right? I ship the machines. It's nonviolent. It's nothing, right? But he deserves a couple years. Let him think about what he did. Okay? So what I'm saying is, when they made that sentence 70 days after the trial was finished, it's in the newspapers, in the front page of the Sun Sentinel, front page of the Miami Herald. It's on the news, and they pick up the Sun Sentinel and say, "Oh, I was a juror in that trial. Let me read about this." And they look at it and they go, 210 months that I was sentenced, and they go,
What
"Oh,
the
that's 17
fuck?
and a half years. Oh my God, he got 17 and a half
You know
years."
how many-
So seriously, do you think my jury, as a white collar, they don't know anything about this? They thought I was
They
going to get
don't.
17 and a half years?
They don't, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because so many juries you read about all the time is these people get sentenced and the jury comes speaks out and was like, oh my God, if I knew he was going to get this
Right.
amount of time, we'd have never
Yes.
found him guilty because we don't feel like that crime
just-
equaled up to that
right.
justified. Like we assumed that there was something there and he
Right.
might have got a year or
Exactly.
something and whatever. And it's just like you said a great thing about the murder cases. Why do go ahead and explain?
By far, murder cases are the easiest to win. I'm talking about by 10 times easier than any other case.
And explain to why.
And the only reason is, it's not because it's murder, it's not because it's a heavier case. No. It's because murder, even a neophyte, even a person who doesn't know about the system,
There's like
square,
two punishments.
knows there's 2 punishments for murder. There's death and there's life in prison. So they know they better be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Okay, not with fraud. With fraud, it's so gray.
It's
okay?
so gray. It's so vague.
So what I'm saying is, when they went to those jurors 70 days later and saw the newspapers, okay, if you went to every juror and said, hey, if you knew he was going to get 17 and a half years, a family man, never been arrested before in his life, actually had a contract with Red Bull, was doing business, shipping every machine, would you have found him guilty if you knew he was going to get 17 years? Hell no.
So in my case, so funny is my first case that I won with the feds, and yes, I did beat them. It was life, LIFE. Like it was life on the table. That was all it boiled down to because I had a prior. If I had took 2, they couldn't guarantee it, but they were going to say 15 and then hope in Georgia. But then I was told no, they was not. So I had no choice. I was going regardless. I didn't feel like I did what they said, so I was going.
Yeah.
But my whole thing of it is I wanted to tell the jury like how much time I was gonna get, and
Right.
they're like, "You can't, you're not
Yeah,
allowed."
me
I'm
too.
like, "Well, put me on the stand and I'll leak it out." And they're like, "Don't." They're gonna punch, and I'm like, "Are you on their team or my side?"
No,
I was
absolutely.
like, because my life's on the line here.
Right.
I want to leak it. They leak all kinds of information. They
So-
put certain people up there to leak information.
Oh, absolutely.
And then it gets thrown in. They're like, "Eject that, erase
Right.
that from the jury," and the jury's like, "I'm like, they already heard it."
So what they'll tell you, and they're on your team, they'll tell you, you're fighting for your life, which I was. I mean, 17 and a half years isn't my life. I'm out
No,
now.
it is
thinking-
life.
No, but I'm saying that's a long
With a
time.
family and
17
kids.
and a half years for doing what I did is a long time. Okay. So here's the thing. When I'm up there and I go to trial, okay, I'm committed to trying to beat them, right? I mean, I'm going to trial, right? And I know you're going to get a punishment for trial because if I tapped out, I never talked to them about taking a deal, and maybe I should have, but I probably would have got about 10 years, 8 to 10 years.
Right.
Now, when they came to me to tell on people, I probably could have got 2 years on nothing, but I wasn't going to do that. So this is the thing. I got 17 and a half years. I'm going to take the stand. They said, don't take the stand. Don't say, why not? I'm going to take, I took the stand for 10 days. I'm taking the stand. Okay. Now call that ego, call that me being a salesman trying to convince a jury of my case, but I'm not going to go down not fighting. If I went to jail and didn't take the stand, I'm going to feel like I left a bullet in the thing. I'm being real.
So what's so funny is that, like in your case, it seems like they stopped at the buck with you because Red Bull should be involved with this whole thing. Let me explain to you, like Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, they had sales reps. I worked my way up to the highest level of Purdue Pharma and Sackler, and the sales reps would literally come out and pitch and tell us what to do, what not to do. Not to me, to my doctors. They would meet with the doctors and then teach them everything about the medication, how to prescribe it, how to take all this stuff. So my doctors did what they told them to do. What they told them to do. Because whenever they get a new medication, they have to meet with the sales rep to know what it's about, how to prescribe it, how it works, read all the stuff. They get a bunch of literature to read up. But they did what they said to do type thing. And they were wanting to build a case against Purdue Pharma and the main sales rep guy, John Sender and all them. And they said they had a huge case. And when we went to trial, I said, well, where's John Sender and them at? And they said, my second prosecutor, he was actually pretty straight up. And he was like, I tried to indict him, but Washington called and said, stand down. So it was so funny that they allowed this to happen. Right. They started this whole thing. The government gave me a license, put me into play, the whole nine, everything else. And then it seemed like they allowed us to make all this money, watch this run for all this time. Because one of the things the jury had a problem is that the prosecution said from day one, we knew you were doing something wrong. You were breaking the rules and you're putting life at danger. Right. But you allowed them to run for 18 months.
That's the thing. So with me, think about this, all hindsight. So when I get indicted, now I'm the skeevy person. But when I'm doing business, Red Bull loves me. Yeah. Royal loves me. I'm buying all their product. I'm putting out 30,000 machines. I'm buying, 80 million cans of Red Bull. I'm the king. But now in hindsight, they say, oh yeah, we knew he was doing all that stuff. Get out of here. You knew I was doing all that stuff. No, I wasn't doing that stuff. But when the government says I'm doing it, you have to take that for granted. You see what I'm saying? Yeah,
but here's what I don't understand about your trial, and it should be really touched on, and this is why I do consulting stuff, because I see through a lot of the bullshit of these people, what they do. In that letter that they send at the cease and desist,
yes,
should have said the reasons why.
No.
Hey,
of course,
but they don't need to. They're $1 billion. They're a $20 billion country. I'm a little marketing company in Sunrise, Florida.
But they're right behind. But they're right behind Purdue Pharma. They lobbied Congress. They give them money. They're untouchable.
But it's Red Bull. You're gonna believe Red Bull. You're gonna believe Andrew Levinson that has 150 employees that's trying to feed his family.
I do the time. Me and you do the time. They pay the fines.
Of course.
Okay. CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all them paid fines for the same thing I did. Go look at their indictments.
Right.
But since they're such a big company, they get paid. They get fined $60, $80 million. I do the time. And it's like, well, they did the same thing I did, but at a bigger pill count than I did. So why are they only paying fines? Well, we can't because they're a corporation. What do you mean? I was a corporation.
So maybe you need to incorporate.
Yeah, I did.
No, but here's the thing. This is what boils down. It boils down to money. And
maybe Jason Volterbeck needed to incorporate.
No, I did.
Think about this, though. I got out 30,000 machines for Red Bull, okay? Red Bull could have bought 30,000 machines, 2,400 a piece. That would be about $80 million. $80 million. They could afford $80 million. That's a chunk, but they could afford it to get it out to push their product, right? Okay. They got out 30,000 machines and they paid nothing with me.
Yeah, they made a profit.
But they made a profit and they made advertising dollars and they made publicity. So think about that. So they come to me and okay, they use me, okay, but that's my fault. I didn't make the best deal. What I'm saying is that they got out a little less than 100 million cans and a little more than 30,000 machines for nothing.
What do you think convicted you?
This is what convicted me. Okay,
a jury of his peers. Duh.
No. The people. So I can tell. I'll tell you exactly what convicted me. I go to trial. Okay. The first day of trial is what's called voir dire. You know what voir dire? Voir dire means that people don't know what voir dire means, but you hear it on TV. And say, voir dire means that you're talking to the jury, you're talking to the potential jury, and seeing if they're going to be biased, and see if the potential jury members, and asking them questions. Okay. So they asked a very mundane question to my jury. This is a question they said, listen, if you go to this trial, it's going to take a couple months now. If you see all the evidence between the prosecution and the defense, and if you see there and you've taken all the evidence, could you possibly find him guilty or not guilty by just the evidence you see? That's a very mundane question. Yeah. Okay? So the first guy said, oh, he's been indicted on 13 counts. He must be guilty of something. Same thing in my case. So think about this. The other people probably won't say this, but they're thinking this, okay? I've been indicted on 13 counts. Doesn't mean I'm guilty of anything. Well, but this guy has the balls to say, or just tells the truth to says, listen, he must be guilty of something. Government doesn't go after the wrong person. Come on, the government is.
I had so many people in my jury when we pick my jury say the same thing, and I'm like, I hear this from everybody.
But you're asking me why I'm guilty. So I haven't even been to trial yet. The trial hasn't even started. They don't even know what I'm doing, and they already said that I'm probably guilty. Okay, that's the start. So now I'm thinking this is gonna be tough, right? I'm not gonna stop the trial and tap out and take a plea. No, but listen to this. The first day of trial happens a couple days later. Happened to be my daughter's 14th birthday, the first day of the trial. It's a little tough. January 24th, 2011. So I go to the first day of trial. Think about this. This is the scariest thing that you ever hear in your life. The first day of trial, the government in an 8-hour day doesn't say a word. Doesn't say one word. They take an overhead projector and they show every paycheck I paid myself for 2 years. Now, they show the first paycheck. It's like $4 or $5 grand. The next paycheck, 10 grand. They get into the 100th check, it's like 1 week is like 300 grand. And the jury's looking at me like.
Can I tell you something?
But I'm going to tell you what they're looking at me like is like, they don't even know I've done a crime. They don't know what I've done.
but
They're
hold
just
on.
looking at my checks going, how is this guy paying himself $300,000
Well,
a
that's
week?
the problem. So this is what they go off in every big attorney. I had Brian Steele. I had all the big guys, okay? And this is when they all told me. They said, Jason, most of the people are going to be on this jury going to make $40,000 to $60,000, okay? They're going to look at you and go, this guy is indicted, which you said, and I had so many people during jury selection say, if the feds indict you, you're automatically guilty because they don't just indict anybody. They don't realize how corrupted this system is. Second thing he says, Jason, do you realize you're 24 years old making multi-millions of dollars, okay? They're going to automatically go, 24-year-olds don't make this kind of money. You have to be doing something wrong. They said that's why most people get convicted. So then they said they're going to show all the lavish stuff that you had. And I said, well, how are they going to show it? Because everybody else had Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and stuff. I didn't.
But no, listen, that's the only thing the judge did take out. So after they show the checks, they show my house. They say I live next to Jason Taylor. Jason Taylor lived 4 houses down. But then they say you own a Bentley. We did object to that. And the judge just take those down, but they've already seen it.
Yep.
They showed the flash of my house.
Yep.
And see that,
my house is wasn't
in a jury
it's like
trial,
$1.5 million house. It wasn't like a $10 million mansion, but it's like $1.5 million in Davie.
That's why a prosecutor will always say some slick shit, and then be like, "Okay, I withdraw." Well, the
of
jury
course,
already heard
but the checks were the.
But you're not allowed to do
the
it.
checks were the silent killer, though.
Yep.
So listen to this. So I got jury members, and no disrespect. Anybody that works, I respect. I don't care if you work at McDonald's. If you do it well, I respect that. I honestly do. So I'm not going to denigrate them. But the front guy is a kid in a sweatshirt. He's a guitarist for Calvary Chapel Church. Okay. He's looking at me like he hates me from get. Okay. So he sees the first like $150,000 check, and he's like, the woman next to him is a housewife, and she's looking at me like I've already done something completely wrong, like I stole it from people. They don't even know about the case yet.
Yep.
Okay. So they show every check, and they're looking like, how can this guy, give himself $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a week? Okay. The fact is, I could have gave more. That was just profit from the company that I paid taxes on, that I did the right thing. And what do you do? Leave it in there? I mean, you got to give yourself, you got to pay yourself. Okay. So then they show the house, and of course we object, but they see the house. Now, this is the crazy thing. My wife at the time, so they take 4 out of 5 of my cars. Okay. They seized all my money. I kept my money in the bank. Everybody says sneak money, put it in a PVC pipe. I kept the money in the bank. You know why? Because I did a business. I'm a businessman.
Same thing with doing pain clinics.
I wanted every dollar accounted for. Like when the government sees, I know they're going to seize it, and they seize all my money. How am I supposed to go get Roy Black now? When I talked to Roy and gave him a retainer, now they took all my money. So that's insanity, right? They don't even know I'm guilty yet. Why can't I use that money to defend myself? That's a whole other story. So they seize my money. They can't take your house in Florida because it's a homestead law. It's called, and that's a crazy law, absolutely, by the way. If you go out vehicular homicide somebody and you go drunk driving, they win a $10 million lawsuit and you got a $3 million house. The person who died from you being drunk,
on mine.
They can't take your house. No, not if it's homesteaded. They can't.
Yeah,
mine
was homesteaded. They put a lien against it. They put a lien against it when it sold. They took the money.
When it's sold, of course.
Yeah, when it's
No,
sold.
but you could have lived there forever, but you have to pay the taxes. My wife could have lived in a $2 million house, but she had paid $40,000 tax. So no, they can't take your house.
No, they can't take it.
That's what I just said. So yeah, they can't come seize your house. But that's kind of unfair. So somebody vehicular homicides and wins a $10 million case. The guy's sitting on a $3 million house, and he gets to live in a $3 million house. So that's what's called a homestead law. Long story short, they seize my money, okay, because I'm in the bank. I'm not in an offshore account. I'm not hiding it. I'm in the bank, okay? Right. They seize all my assets. They come to my house for my jewelry, my watches, and all that stuff. They're hardcore. So they take all that. I haven't even been guilty yet, though. What kind of fair system is that?
It's not. They want to cripple you. That's how they beat you.
Of course they want to cripple me. So that's the second thing they know. Then the trial starts. So the actual trial starts after that first day, and they already hate me.
So who was your attorney?
My attorney was Roy Black, and then Roy had to drop it because I couldn't give him the rest of the money.
Yep.
So I have no money left. So I had to have a public pretender because I have no money. And then I got money for a bigger lawyer from somebody else, and then they threatened that person because they gave me $300,000 because they knew me.
Yep. Same thing for me.
So I somebody gave me $300,000 for another attorney, and they called that person up and says, I'm going to put you to jail because if he gets arrested, that's illegal money. And the guy says, no, man, I got to give that back to me. Think about that.
Yeah.
I got millions of dollars. I've been to all of them. I went to anybody's big. I went to. Okay, and Howard Shrebnick is really who does Black's work. Howard Shrebnick was the head of the Miami, law school.
Yeah, Roy was in one of our attorneys for.
Listen to me, Roy tells me then, they're going to leave you money from me, which was a lie, by the way. I gave Roy and I gave Richard Diaz. Richard Diaz is a character out of Coral Gables. He's good. He's a big time attorney. Richard Diaz is more of a flair than Roy. So him and Roy were going to work the case together. I gave Richard Diaz $50,000 in the very beginning, before they even indicted me. 4 years before they indicted me. I give Roy $100,000 before they indict me, just to talk to the government. So they 4 years before they indicted me, they want all my paperwork from my company, all the emails. So Roy says, give it to them. So I do. For 4 years, they don't know, not even a word. I know they're looking at me, but I'm 4 years at my house and I don't know what's going to happen. You know, then they come at 5:30 in the morning and they
Kick the door in.
they kick the door in. So here's what happens. The first day of the trial, their first witness, which is crazy, was thinking in hindsight, was the FTC. So I'm thinking the FTC has something really bad against me. I'm thinking the FTC has tape recordings of me saying crazy stuff, and they have all these fines that they were going to give me, or all these things I've never seen. But the FTC comes up. So we tell the FTC, okay, you're the regulatory agency, right? How many times have you tape recorded him? They say, 229 times we've called Creative Conscience of America to see if they're doing anything wrong. Okay. Do you have those tapes? Oh, we do. Did you find anything wrong? Oh, no, we didn't find them. We didn't. Did you ever send them something saying, don't do those practices? No. Why are we here? Oh, the DOJ is different. He must have violated some of their laws. And I'm like, what? You're the overseer for what I do. I'm licensed with you to do what I do. And you didn't find anything wrong? He goes, well, I'm not going to say that. Well, you did say that.
We just didn't find it on our phone calls.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, we don't know about their phone calls.
Yeah, we don't know. We weren't able to monitor every one of them.
Right.
That's going to be their excuse.
Okay, so then they get into the core base of the case. Now, this is what people don't realize. They indicted 4 people with me, 4 salespeople. 2 of the people took deals right away. They took 6 months. Okay. Two of the guys said, actually, no, he didn't say any of that. He didn't tell me to do any of that. They say, I'm going to go trial with him. They didn't take the 6 months. They could have. So not everybody tells on people.
So I tell people all the time, even though you don't cooperate, but you take a plea deal, it hurts me to go into trial.
Of course.
It's a silent cooperation because now they get to tell the jury, look, 2 people took plea deals.
No, but you don't understand. The people that took the plea deals said stuff that was outlandish that never happened, that the government, I know government told them to say. Think about this. They indicted my office manager. Her name is Adriana Mendonza.
Oh, I had all this.
Listen to this. Office manager, she didn't know nothing. All she did is she got staplers and she got paper and she got computers and she had know nothing about the marketing, sales, and anything like that. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, why did they indict her? But then I realized she has 2 kids. She's going to say anything.
Yep.
Right.
And she really, if she fought it, they would have dropped it. I swear. If she says no, I didn't do anything.
Same thing in my case.
They would have dropped it. But she takes the stand because she got 6 months. Didn't do anything. Was my office manager. Nothing to do with sales. So she gets on the stand, and the first thing they ask her, they go, well, how do you know he was doing something nefarious? And she says, well, we had secret meetings with the hierarchy of the company on Fridays. I'm like, hierarchy of the company? I own the company. I got employees. Who's the hierarchy of the company? That wouldn't come out. The vernacular wouldn't come out of her mouth. The government told her to say this. And I said, oh, in the secret meetings, what happened? Oh, he would talk about sales techniques, that he would do this. I wouldn't talk about sales technique with her ever. So she goes out, and I know why she's saying that. She just doesn't want to go to.
So it's funny you say that. I want to elaborate. So
excuse me.
One of my co-defendants, it was my partner, took a plea deal. He said he was going to go to trial. My attorney set up a way where we know if he started cooperating, which it worked. So we knew he took a plea deal. He debriefed. We get a copy of the debrief. And I'm reading it. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, this is beyond crazy.
Of course.
So Florida has a law where you can't record somebody without telling them on the phone. So I go to Georgia and ping off a Georgia tower. And so I call him up, I record it. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, this is all lies. Why? He's like, I didn't say none of that. I'm like, dude, I got it right here. He's like, send it to me now. So I sent him, like, how do you not have a copy of your proffer? And he's like, I didn't say that. And he's reading. And he's like, dude, listen, I'm gonna get a hold of my attorney and get this changed. I didn't say this. I'm not gonna get on stand and say this.
Right.
I got a recording of him to this day. I'm gonna release it eventually. He said how all of it was a lie and how he's gonna tell his attorneys. He never did that. Got on a stand. We were supposed to play the recording. Brian Steele wouldn't play the recording, wouldn't put it in, dropped the ball on me, laid down. And the recording straight up, it says that I did not say none of them things. I don't know why, but I'm not going to get on stand and say it. He got right on the stand and said
think about this. This is how much the government wants a win. They don't want the truth. They want a W.
Yeah, that's all they want. They don't care.
They indicted a lady that had nothing to do with anything I was doing. Nothing
Same
to
thing
do
in my
with her.
case.
So think about that. They're willing
happens all the
They're
time.
willing to indict somebody that's a square, a rube. Okay. Now listen to this, because they
To
know she's
force
going to say
them.
anything. Now listen, on the stand, she's going to say anything. So she's saying some outlandish stuff that she had no idea about. Some of the sales tactics, she has no idea. She really had no idea. So when she's saying that, she's crying. So my lawyer says, "Why are you crying?" "Oh, well, I want to see my daughters grow up." Don't you think he wants to see his daughter grow up?
Yeah.
I mean, like nobody thinks of that.
Nope.
Okay. So, you know, when all the people that don't go to trial, that's supposed to be big gangsters, and they all cry, like Sammy the Bull cries and says, "Oh, I did it for my family because I wanted to see my family."
What about all the people you unalived?
You don't think I want to see my family?
What about all the people you unalived?
So you don't want to, right? But it's okay when you're a gangster.
Yeah.
But then when the baddest wolf comes to you, which is the U.S. government, when it says USA against you, you become a bitch. So Sammy the Bull lays down. So you're not a gangster. I don't want to hear about all your gangster stuff because you laid down to the biggest beast. So what I'm saying is this: is that if you take a plea, you're smart. You did less time. I'm not saying you're a dummy, but you're not a gangster.
Yeah.
Don't
that's
be a
the
gangster.
problem. All the movies that are gangsters
don't be
are
a
all
gangster.
done on rats.
So not only a rat, the rat's another thing. Rats, you're not just
And that
no,
gets us-
but listen to me, a rat,
talk
you're not
about
just not a
rats.
gangster. You're just not a gangster with a rat. You're a scumbag.
Yeah.
No, a rat, you're a scumbag. I'm saying even if you take a plea,
Yeah.
don't put up the Scarface shit.
Yeah.
Don't put up all this thing that you're a gangster. Don't put your chest up that you did all this stuff.
Don't go start podcasts bragging about it.
Don't start podcasts you're bragging about it because you're not a gangster.
Let's
Listen to
talk
me.
about gangsters and rats. So let's talk for a second, Red Bull.
Okay.
You're here on 10 Toes, and we're going to be honest with you. You
Yeah,
know, 10
I'll keep
Toes
it
is
10 Toes.
10 Toes is kind of new. You know, we've only
sure.
been doing it since about January.
Yeah.
We've been doing this since when? Like January?
Yeah, but we've just been going slow with it.
So yeah, and we've been coming a little more correct lately.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm saying that is because you've been invited to do a much larger podcast.
Many
a
times.
whole much more time.
Yes.
Now, me and Jason have both done this other podcast.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Matt Cox.
Yes, I've been invited 100 times, and he begs me to come on.
Matt Cox is one of the biggest podcast creators
In the crime.
in the true
Okay.
crime genre.
And-
Why won't you do Matt
Okay.
Cox?
Matt Cox, I was in prison with for 4 years. He was the cube right next to me. He was a good friend. He's a personality because he's fraud like me. He got 20-something years. Like I got big time. Okay, so of course fraudsters in prison tend to, come together because we have stories.
Of course we
right?
do.
Of
I
course.
did too. I was a fraudster
Okay, so
myself.
Matt, I was in Coleman Low and B4 with Matt for 4 years. Okay, so we went to lunch almost every day together.
But before we go further, you know,
Yes.
everybody knows that Matt's a rat. He says he's a rat. And he talks about being a rat.
Right.
But let's talk. We're talking to somebody
But
that lived next door
Yes,
and went to
yes.
lunch with Matt
Yes.
at
Okay.
Coleman
Absolutely.
Low.
So what Matt was doing at Coleman Low, and he was an ambitious guy. He was trying to write books about people's good stories because we were going to lunch with Efren Deveroli too. That's the guy from War Dogs.
Right, of course.
So I was going to lunch with him for about 2-3 years before he went to the camp. Okay, so it was me, Matt, and Deveroli, but me and Matt most of the time. So
Right.
me and Matt were pretty close.
So you and Matt were buddies.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. He'll admit that. I mean, he'll have to admit that because we were. So
it probably hurts him that you won't go to his show.
it might. I mean, I don't know Matt's mentality now because Matt's mentality is different than when I knew him. Because Matt's
I'm gonna fill
mentality
you in
when I
about
knew him
him.
that he was
there was another friend,
he was a
right?
trooper doing 26 years. Now, did he make a class for the government teaching them how to go to fraudsters? Now that's a little bit like snitching. That's not total snitching, but like it would be like the government came to me and they wanted me to do a class on business
But didn't
opportunities.
he cooperate
No,
at
but
the
listen,
beginning too?
No, he cooperated. He did classes on teaching them what to look for. It's like Frank Abagnale. Frank Abagnale would
I never heard this part.
Yes, they came to Matt.
I thought he cooperated to get the plea deal at the
No,
beginning.
no,
he
he
took a
didn't.
plea deal.
He took a plea deal, but he cooperated by he took classes though. No, he didn't rat anybody in the beginning. No, I'm not going to go that far. Matt said I would teach you through classes, teach the FBI, which he did, how to catch people like me and show you how I did that, how I did the fraud, how I did the mortgage fraud, how I did the identity fraud. So he did. He taught classes. Now some people consider that snitching. I consider that borderline. Whatever. It's like Frank Abagnale, the Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah,
he taught them how to look at checks.
Yeah.
Okay. So that
Doesn't even matter
I'm gonna
anymore.
give a-
Nobody writes checks anymore.
Well, I'm going to give a pass on that. Okay.
Well, Matt, you got to pass on
gotta
that.
Taking
pass
a
on
job is telling on other people and taking a job with them is two different things in my book.
To me, it's borderline.
I mean,
it's borderline. Like if you're a real gangster, you don't teach them how to be a
let's
gangster.
be honest. You thought about it because they asked you.
So they
No, they
came
asked
to
me
me.
too.
So they came to me multiple times and
Yes.
want me to come work for them full time as a consultant.
Yes.
And I turned it down.
Okay. Well, they came to me during my sentence and said, "We
Mine's
want
all after.
No, we want to teach you a class on business opportunity so we can catch more business opportunity guys." And I said, "No, hell no. Well, we might be able to get you 5, 6, 7, 8 years off, maybe 10. No." And I did it. And I'm not going to try to play Joe Tough Guy and Joe Big. But honestly, I'm not going to give other people more time when I've done something. No, it's not going to happen.
Right,
Call me whatever. I'm not going to ever do that.
They wanted me to
Okay.
study pretty much drug routes and like try to break down
Right.
and figure out how these people that were on the radar, how they were
And
operating.
me too with business opportunities.
Yeah.
They wanted me to look at business packages, call them up
Yep.
even. So no, I'm not going to do any of that
Yeah.
shit.
So, I mean-
so listen. So I'm with Matt. Okay, so Matt's got a personality. Matt's was a good guy, and he's got a gracious personality like me. We're both fraud guys. So listen, I'm in there with 4 years with him. He's telling me all his stories. But in hindsight now, he's a little more curious about my case than I am about his. He's asking me about deep stuff with business opportunities. Most people ask me peripheral stuff. Maybe it's because close to him. Maybe it's because we talk all the time. So I can't
Maybe he
put
was
in,
trying to find something to bust you some more.
of course. So what happens was Deveroli leaves. And by the way, Matt wrote a book while the movie came out. I was in with Deveroli. While War Dogs came out, I was in prison with Deveroli. And, Deveroli, they don't have to pay anybody a dime to do the life story. If they do a life story on a famous person, all I have to do is ask their cousin to tell what he saw. You never have to pay anybody. They weren't going to pay George Jung. George Jung, and by the way, a little side by with George Jung with Blow. He's in my mother's high school yearbook. He Weymouth High School. My mother graduated in 1960. George Jung is right next to her. And that's just a weird thing. But anyways, you don't have to tell a story because George Jung didn't pay anything. Remember the Spanish girl he was married to? She told the story.
Right.
So if I did a story on me, all I have to do is go to my wife, and if my wife wants to get $100,000. So, but bottom line is, the War Dogs, they didn't pay Deveroli anything. The Jonah Hill character
Even if he's trademarked, because my story's trademarked.
doesn't matter. They can tell your personal story. If your wife wanted to tell you a story, or your girlfriend
They
wanted
would
to
have
tell you
to
a story,
say it.
they
They
can't
would have to
stop
say
her.
it through, like if your brother told, they'd be saying through
His brother, right? And they
whatever.
say that in War Dogs. They say that the other guy, Pacquiao, whatever his name was, told his story. So it's all different now.
Well, I don't know because the two twins or the two brothers of what's her name, Blanca, just won that big deal about their situation out there in Cali, and I'm in talks with a lot of stuff. Once you copyright your story and everything else, with the problems I'm going through with mine right now, I'm not going to say too much.
Right.
Is we have to change it so much,
Right,
so
exactly.
far away from anything, or not they can start suing me.
You can't stop somebody from telling you what they saw. If
Right.
somebody was next to you and saw something,
Yes,
you can't
but
stop
they have
somebody
to
from
change it to a percentage, and they have to do all kinds of other stuff, or not they have to pay me.
That's what they do with War Dogs.
Right.
War Dogs was not told by anything by Deveroli, and Deveroli was the main dude.
Well,
let's-
I don't know why he can't
so-
sue because
He
if
did sue. He didn't win. He lost.
So let's
That's
talk about
crazy.
who replaced Deveroli. Because
So
I know
the
answer.
Deveroli leaves, and then
Ron Wilson comes.
a gentleman named Ron Wilson. I think he was from Tennessee. He was an older gentleman. He was doing investment fraud there, like coin fraud and a bunch of other things. So Ron was at our table for my last 2 years. No, my last year. Ron was. So I got to know Ron too. He was a good older guy with straight white hair, and so now it's me, Ron, and Matt. So I leave for the camp after being with him about 4 years and then about a year last year with Ron. I'm at the camp and somebody's telling me that, hey, Matt's trying to build a case on Ron. Because Ron was a very open guy. Ron would tell us about his fraud and say he hid money somewhere. And I tell Ron, hey, don't tell anybody that.
Chill out.
Like, chill out. Just that's between you. I don't need to know that. Like, don't tell people that. And so he was very open. So now Matt was saying with a wink, wink, I want to do a story on you. So when Matt does a story, and he has other people he's done stories on, like 4 or 5 other people that he's got published. He got published in Vanity Fair, got published. So people are telling him stories carte blanche. So Ron was telling Matt his story carte blanche because of this book. I'm not going to tell anybody my story carte blanche because, listen, I mean, you want to hear about my case carte blanche? Yes. You want to hear about every business opportunity I ever did and everything? I mean, that's different. So what I'm saying is that Ron was telling him everything, where he hid money, where he told people to go, what he told his wife to do. And like there's no statute limit. There's a statute limitation on that, but it's only been like 2 years since he'd been put in prison. So it's like common sense things like, man, you just got 10.
So
15
my attorney told me not to talk about my case till 7 years I was in. And even though that my case was out for 3 years fighting it, she said, doesn't matter because you can't prove the ending date. So the time you go in is
Right.
the ending date because now you're in their custody.
Right.
So people hit me up after I did time. We were like, dude, I didn't know about all these stories. I did time with you years and you never talked about it. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Well, I don't talk about when I said I'm not going to talk about my story in prison because I don't trust anybody in prison.
No, you don't. They're
So
all
my
in prison.
point is that I'm going to tell anybody now I'm out of prison. I'm on probation. I'll tell you about my trial because it's the truth. I'll tell you about Red Bull because Red Bull can't sue me. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So right now I'll tell you about it. I'm not going to tell you in prison. That's idiotic.
So-
like I'm going to trust other criminals?
So Matt,
So Matt, so I went to the camp and I heard stories about Matt now is still going to lunch with Ron, but he's getting information from Ron and now he's giving it to the government. But that's just rumors. I can't prove that. So like I'm defending Matt, or I'm saying I don't think Matt would do that. Matt's not that type of guy. Matt's already done like 12 years on a 26-year bid. Yeah. So I know he did the class on teaching them what to look for in fraud. But I don't think he's going to tell on Ron. I mean, this guy already just got 10 years, going to get 10 more years from somebody telling on him. But I found out Matt did. So here's a guy who got another like 7, 8, 9 years off a sentence for giving another guy.
I can't believe that he got that much time off just for telling where some money was, and it wasn't that much
No,
money.
I'm not saying it's just that.
I know,
no, that's
but
all
there
I know,
has
but
to
it's
be
more.
there has to be more.
No, there is more. No,
there has to
what
be.
I'm saying is obviously there is more because I wasn't in all the conversations after I left for the camp. What I'm saying is he told me he's going to write a book. He's going to tell him everything, right?
Yeah.
So of course he told him more. I'm just saying what I heard.
So how I've been so I met him because I know you through a boy named Randy.
Yes.
We do a transit.
Sure.
Randy was a crazy white boy.
Yes.
Out of control white boy. So I met him, Matt Cox, that way. And I was talking about how I was telling him my story about how I want to be, I'm working on a movie deal and I want to be the first one that didn't cooperate and actually stood, sure. tall and everything else. And he got mad and started getting like going in on me through text and everything else. I had a video on Instagram and this month he went in on me on it. Then I'm like, he wanted to come on thing.
What
I'm
I'm saying
like,
is, don't take this
bro.
the wrong way. That's your fault.
Yeah.
Don't take this the wrong way. But you're saying that, oh, how dare you do that? But you need to go on a show because you want to use his publicity. So you're doing. You're just as guilty.
To it. No, I've refused.
No, but you're just as guilty. You went on a show though.
Well, no, I know. After the fact, I'm gonna tell you why.
No, but you knew he was a rat, right?
Yeah, I knew he's a rat. But
okay,
hold on.
So why wouldn't the first thing you talk about when your conversation with him, anything else doesn't mean anything? He's a rat.
No, I agree. But hold on a second. So I told him to go kick rocks. Blah blah blah. I'm not going on it.
But you went to Tampa for his show.
I know, but hold on. So years go by, his girlfriend reaches out to me, or his wife, whoever she is, and is like, hey, I'm like, listen, we've had problems. I'm not doing it. And I'm going to tell you why I did it. So he was like, she's like, that's not him. So I found it and I sent it. And she's like, oh, yeah, well, blah, blah. And she mitigated. And I told my girl, she can back it up. I said, I'm going to tell him we're going to do it, but you're going to video it from behind the scenes. Because I had a feeling he was going to pull some shady stuff on me. He did pull a little bit, but not too bad. So we cut it up before we started talking about it. And I told him, I said, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I had her sit behind and video the whole thing with a camera because I thought for sure he was going to edit it and do some stuff or not put it out. And then I was going to be able to blast him and be like, see, this is what these shady little rats do. Because I know he's done some dumb stuff. So I went on, but I had a reason why I went on because I thought for sure he was going to do it. Well, he ended up doing it the way it was supposed to be done, did it right. But then he didn't promote it. And I was doing it because I'm working on a movie deal.
But let's be real. Come on. If Matt Cox didn't have a good following,
I totally
did have gone on it. You went on the show because he had a good following.
No, I used to share
If Matt Cox was a nothing podcast, listen to me, he's a rat.
Hold on.
If Matt Cox had a nothing podcast,
I will bring my girl in here.
On
Hold on. I'm going to tell you now. My girl will come in here right now. I turned down bigger podcast because of who they are and what it's about. Matt the only one.
Matt's about nothing.
So here's the thing.
No,
Matt's
I'm not on
about
bigger. Yeah, but I went on it because I wanted to try to bust his ass for trying to pull some stuff. I'm telling you, that's the main reason. Because I just turned down Ian Bick and all them, and he went to trial. He's got more followers than Matt Cox does.
Then why'd you turn him down?
Because I don't like certain things about him.
But you shouldn't like everything about Matt.
Yeah, but the thing is I
Come
thought
on.
sure I turned him down.
I don't think you're being 100% truthful.
So I did.
Listen to me. Matt Cox got a following. Listen to me. I'm telling you, I was in jail with him 4 years. Right the cube next to him. The guy put the guy that was in the cube next to me, gave him 10 more years. Listen to me now. Why do I want to give Matt Cox any more viewership? Because my story is bigger than Matt's. I got Red Bull. My story is bigger than Matt Cox's.
Oh yeah,
okay.
for sure.
So I'm not going to try to puff my chest, but my story is bigger than his. Okay. So, but listen. Why would you give any credence to what anybody's story is or how they do anything if they laid down and gave somebody else who's supposed to be their friend 10 more years? Screw Sammy the Bull. Listen to me. Screw Jordan Belfort. Screw Frank Lucas. They're scumbags. They're the worst scumbags. Listen to me. The government is a big beast. They don't even need these people. But to put cream on the top, they have people that are supposed to be stand-up guys and gangsters telling on people. Now listen. Now
I agree.
So when you went on there, all you
did
did was help him get another guest and help him with his podcast.
No, I
agree.
agree.
Listen to me. If what's true, which I'm 99% sure it is, but if it's true what he did, he gave Ron more time.
He did.
But then listen, then fuck Mark Cox. I would never go on a show. Excuse my language, but listen to me. I would never come on. I would look like an idiot.
He actually owns it.
But I would look like an idiot though. Okay, but if Matt, if you want to take me on the show, I'll tell Matt right now. If he watches this and Matt wants me on the show, I'll go on your show. But I'm going to talk about everything that happened with you and Ron. I want to know from you.
He admits to it.
Okay, but he won't admit to. Listen to me. I want to know everything because I was with these guys at lunch.
He had to do more. He admits to being a rat, and he'd say like that. We talked about it all.
No, but I want to know. I was at lunch with these guys for 3 years.
I'm telling you right now, I was 99% sure he was going to alter my video and do stuff, and I wanted to blast him because he has a big thing, and I wanted to bring his ass and put him in place over it to show how big of a snake he was. I've turned down bigger people than him. So let me tell you, I turned him down because of certain reasons. I don't need the clout. I got invited on Vlad, and I was going to go on Vlad because what was I going to go on Vlad strictly for?
To call out Jake?
To call out Jake. I don't like Vlad. Vlad's another police. So let's get back on.
Hold
on.
If Geeky asked Ian Bick, which I don't know his case, he looks like a geek, but I'm saying he's got a good show. But okay, whatever. I don't even know his case. But if he was a stand-up guy.
Stop.
He talks about me too on there, You can find things about Red Bull stuff.
What? Okay, but we can run the clip live.
No, but you can see shows of Matt talking about me.
Yeah.
No, you can bring. I mean,
He talks about how he does it right now.
And 2 other people, and they were charged. Ron Wilson ended up getting like 6 more months added onto his sentence, but I get 5 years knocked off my sentence. I get called into my counselor's office.
He got 5 years knocked off.
How is he at 5 years knocked off for a guy to get 6
listen
more
to me.
months?
Don't believe any of that. Like double, whatever he says, double or triple it.
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question
Sure,
because I
sure.
think me and you're on the same page. This.
Sure.
Why does Vlad, Adam 22,
Yeah.
Jake, and all these guys have such big platforms?
I'll tell you why.
wanna hear it.
They're on the other team.
I agree the same thing.
So
I've said
listen
from day
to me
one.
now. I'm saying this.
You hear
I'm-
it all the time say how they're police.
You joked about that the other day.
I talked about the other day. It's obvious.
Because it
it's
said
obvious.
if you went to
Listen
Matt
me.
Cox, you punched him
Okay,
in the face.
first of all,
and you said,
with the
you
Vlad,
can't
with the
because he's a
Vlad
federal
thing,
officer.
with the Vlad thing, he's got some hip hop cred and stuff like that. That's different. That's a little different. Ian Bick's a little different. I don't know Ian Bick.
Ian
personally.
Bick's on none of that. This has
No,
to do with
no.
his brother and other
Ian
stuff.
has nothing to do with
Yeah.
snitching.
Okay. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying, but the ultimate ones that you have suspect on, like Matt, for instance. Like, I'm being real. Matt's case, it's intriguing. I mean, he scammed some homeless people out of like identities. He scammed the banks out. He went to banks and scammed them. It's an interesting case. Okay.
You can tell he was a junkie or something back then the way he looked.
Okay. Well, like, let me see. I had a contract with Red Bull. Like, I'm not saying that's puffing my chest. It's pretty big stuff, right? I'm just a little marketer. I'm a hustler. I'm a trailer park kid at heart, but I'm a hustler. Okay. I'm not a great CEO, but I'm a hustler, and I'm not going to tap out to the government. Okay. And I'm not going to actually tell somebody to tap out to them. When people come in here and you give them advice about taking deals, they should listen to me. If you're a lame and you got 10 years in front of you, you want to take 2 years and you don't want to tell anybody, I'm all for that.
What about me though? I had a case by myself. I stole all the fuck. I had a venture fund. I stole the money.
Okay.
I walked in the bank and stole the money.
Okay.
By myself.
Okay.
I told him myself. I took a plea so I could get a little less time.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, what you did, you took a plea. That's smart.
Right.
But you're not a gangster.
I know. I'm never claimed to be a gangster.
I'm not saying you are, but some people do. What I'm saying, some people do. They still claim to be a gangster. I didn't rat on anybody. I just took a deal.
But I should
If you
take
take a deal, you're making them the beast stronger. Think about this. I hate the people that say they're innocent. Okay. If you're innocent, would you take a deal for any prison time being innocent?
that's-
if
If
you
you
are
were innocent-
well, if you are, you're either an idiot. You're an idiot.
I agree.
Okay. Or you're excuse my language. You're a lame.
Yeah,
Because
I've
if
said
you're
the same
telling
thing.
me, listen now. The
I was
system-
looking at life and I took it to trial.
Listen to me. And they threatened me with 30, 40 years, which is the same thing at 40 years old. I mean, but you're right. Life is just life. It's life. They said you're going to get 30 years, okay? At the time, I'm 40 years old, okay? I got a 13, 14-year-old daughter. I got a wife that I've been married to for 15 years. I mean, I'm a family man. I mean, so listen, they're telling me I'm looking at 30 years. So I'm thinking about an indictment, okay? But here's the thing in my case. They didn't indict me for 4 years after I shut down Creative Concepts of America. I shut down Creative Concepts of America. They didn't indict me for 4 years. Okay, so do I know they're going to indict me? Probably. Do I think they could take a pass because I shipped the machines? Maybe, right? I don't know. Okay. Then all of a sudden the grand jury happens. So when they subpoena my mother and my wife to go to the grand jury, I know now I'm okay. Of course then. So I go up to the Miami building with I can't go in because my grand jury. I can't go in the grand jury. But my mother sits out with me with the FBI and the Secret Service there because the Secret Service was on the fraud cases. People don't realize that. Why did they put Secret Service on fraud cases? I don't know. Anyways, I'm out in the lobby and they go in. My mother goes in. My mother says that the grand jury was so unbelievably cavalier about it that they're eating popcorn. Well, when she's talking, they're not even listening to her. They're ordering popcorn.
Yeah, that's why the whole thing saying they can indict a ham sandwich.
It's a stamp. You
It
can
is.
indict a ham sandwich.
Yep, you can indict a ham sandwich. It's
So they
just
talk-
to say like, oh my God, the grand jury brought a
Right.
thing in.
So they talk to my wife, right? Now they do what the MO what the government does. The government's the biggest bully in the world. You want to talk about a gangster bully? This is what they do. They take me, my wife, and my mother into the Miramar FBI office. They take my poor mother in. They do. They tape record her voice, like Affleck and like how her voice
they put
sounds.
my mom on a no-fly
They put
list.
my mom. They put my mom written stuff that her writing, a sample of her writing. They do it to my wife. Now they threaten to indict her in the FBI building. They say we're going to indict you. My mom starts crying. I go, you bitches, man. She didn't do anything. She worked with me. She made the business packages. That's something to do. She was the mom in the whole office. My poor mother, she made the business packages to send out to the investors. They say we're going to indict you because your son paid you. Yeah, I paid her a salary. Okay. They told my wife we're going to indict you. So my wife was like, no, indict me. I didn't do anything. My mom, though, she's a little.
Yeah.
So she's crying. My mom's in tears.
Most people would have took a plea deal right when they did them threats. You know
No,
that, right?
most people would have said, I'm taking a plea because I don't want them. So I'm the mentality of no. F you.
I was the same way.
I'm going to fight you. You
right.
just went after my mother and my wife who did nothing. Well, they say, oh, well, your wife got checks. Yeah, my wife got checks into joint accounts, which we pay taxes on. Is anything illegal about that? No.
It's all they're gonna hit him is money laundering, no crime, because it's,
Of course.
it's spending
You know
ill-gotten
that.
gains. I
No,
know
but
how
they
the
might
game
they
is.
might hit him and they
Yeah.
might plea and get some
Yeah.
time, which they
Yep.
never should have got.
Yep.
My wife and mother didn't do anything.
I agree 100%.
So the government's willing to put my mother.
But they do it because they're trying to tap you into a plea deal.
No,
keep
they
you from
did
going
it
to trial.
because it's their MO, because they know people are weak, and if they go after the mother and the thing, they cry like Sammy the Bull, and they be bitch up, and they say, I don't want to put my family in it.
That's what I said. They
okay,
make you
well,
take
you
a
don't
plea
want to put
deal.
your family while you're being a gangster.
Yeah.
You didn't think about your family then.
No, I agree.
Okay? If you're a gangster, you're a
I
gangster.
told him. I said, I'll get attorneys for my family.
I told him that you're not going to indict him because you weren't going to win. I didn't tell you. Forget about selling, you're going to get lawyers. No, indict my mom. Put her up there.
Yeah.
Put my at the time 60-something-year-old mother up there, and that worked for me to making business packages. Put her up there.
I want to ask you a question. When you were at Coleman, were you there with a Derek Nolan? That
Yeah,
hung
of course,
around?
Derek. Yeah, the pill killing guy. Derek's a junkie, man. I was there, Derek, for 3 years. They're complete,
So, listen,
complete
so
junkie.
Derek's the one
Tells us
started the
stories
whole
about
case.
him being the bodyguard out front of the pill clinic, all the pill clinics things, but he's a junkie.
He was a bodyguard. He was junkie in prison.
Okay.
But
Derek went on Matt Cox. I just saw him on Matt Cox show.
Yeah.
I was in with Derek for 3 years, and all I saw was Derek do drugs in prison.
Did he try to check paperwork and stuff? I heard he was checking paperwork there,
Hell
trying to
no,
act
he was
tough.
a lame. He was always high.
So he, I got him. I ran him off the
I
1
want to check
yard.
his paperwork, man.
Dude, he's hot as can be.
Listen to me.
There's a book.
Listen,
they wrote a book talking about it. He had a hard time keeping his slip up
what I'm
going
saying
to
is
testify.
anybody that comes up and does that stuff at these candy ass lows or candy ass camps, check them out.
Red Bull.
You know what I'm saying?
There is 43 Rule 35s on that case. I've counted.
That's what I'm saying. They
43.
all
Listen,
want to be gangsters
he
with the
started
pills.
it.
No, they all want to be gangsters with the
Hey,
pills.
Listen,
but they're all like ratting
on
on
that
everybody
George's
else.
case, they told on their fucking mother.
Yeah, they
I know,
told
I
him they
know.
put their own mom in prison. So listen to this. So Derek was on Matt Cox and he's talking about, I heard somebody, I turned around and he was shaking so bad. And I wanted to do a video on it and say, yeah, because I was trying to figure out which eye was looking at me so he could see the gun.
Think about this though. I'm not here just to shit on Matt and everybody else, okay? But you look at Matt's type of show and people like him. They put up so softball questions because they're begging for people to come on this show. All they do is throw softballs up. You can ask me anything. Ask me about past, I don't care. You can ask me anything. I'm being real. Ask me about prison. What I'm saying is they're all softball. They're all softball questions by Matt because he's so scared to ask anything serious, like about really how the feds work, really how they take you to trial, really how what they do to you. And how
I agree.
But no, how they're animal bullies. Because
I have a question.
Listen, okay, go ahead.
Were you scared?
Sure, no. Scared? No, never scared.
You're never scared.
No, you know why? You know why? Really? Because I don't even know this.
Did you think you were getting 2 years? I'm like,
No, I knew I was going to get like 20 years. No, listen to me. Once I found, absolutely. When I found guilty, listen to me. I'm not stupid. I know
No,
the rule.
but
No,
when you
like
were-
people don't know the feds. No, you know what's coming up. Your money count, if it's over 25 million, anything over 25 million is the highest amount, points. It's points. It's related. I was over 25 million. So once you're over 12 million, you're pregnant. You can be 100 million. You can be 200 million. I was over 25 million. I was the exact same case as Jordan Belfort. Exact same points, exact same everything as he was. Literally almost to the penny. It's scary. So listen, I was the leader, organizer, because I was the owner.
Right.
So you get 4 points for that. I get 27 points for having over 25 million. Okay.
Right.
I get 2 points for over 250 victims, which is 3,000 victims, they call it. Everybody bought from me as a victim. Okay. Then I get 2 points for sophisticated means. So sophisticated means.
How many points?
Listen to me. I had sophisticated means, and we went to the judge. Said, why does he have sophisticated means to do what he did? Oh, because he has a college degree in business opportunity.
So what was your total points?
My points was 37. First time offense.
Mine was 43, first time offender.
Okay, so
43. I got 38 for the drugs.
Right.
I got 2 points for having money and drugs.
Okay.
And then I got 3 points for a leadership role. 43 points. Category.
Yeah. Okay. So with me being first time offense, I'm level 1. So I'm 210 months to 230 something months. The judge could have gave me more than 210. He could have gave me the bullet. He did give me the lower of the guideline, but 210 months to 17 years. I knew I was going to get 17 and a half years. When I was at county for 7 years waiting for sentencing, I knew I'm not going to get slapped in the wrist. So I wasn't, call it a dream, it never registered with me. I never had the point where it registered where I'm going to go to jail for 17 and a half years. I've never been in jail a day of my life. It never did. Call it a blur. Call it, I don't know if fortitude or not. It was just, it never hit me. It never did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It never did because there's 2 reasons why. It hit me, of course, not to see my daughter graduate from high school and college and, see her get her master's and see her all that. Of course that hits me. But it never hit me with the time because I'm a big boy. I was in an industry that's a little skeevy. I'm not saying I did the right thing every single time, which I didn't. I'm not saying I'm a babe in the woods. What I did doesn't deserve 17 years. Absolutely not. No, it might deserve 2 or 3 years.
You got more time than me.
Listen to me. I got more time. I could have killed somebody. So what I'm saying is I sold vending machines. I had a contract with Red Bull. I actually had a contract with Red Bull. So listen to this.
vending machine man.
I sold vending machines and shipped them and shipped cans of Red Bull with Red Bull's permission and got
17
17 and a half years. Now listen, for exaggerated earnings, okay? So I'm a big boy though. I made all that money. In the beginning, I might have done some worse stuff than I did the Red Bull. So I justify it with that. But 17 and a half years is ludicrous. People think this is the best system in the world. It's the worst. It's
worst.
draconian. If you don't know draconian, look it up. It is a draconian system. Put it this way: when you can't tell the jury how much time you're looking at, people wouldn't believe you. Of course, they know how much time you get them. Yeah, in the state, not in the feds. You know why in the feds? Because of what you said. Their winning percentage would drop.
Yep.
They don't want to drop their winning percentage.
No.
So isn't justice like the truth? Getting the truth out, right? Just getting the truth out, right?
It doesn't matter. I did a video on says, how do you fight the same people that bully other countries?
Right.
You know, and it's just like, and I told him, I said, dude, these are the same people that bully other countries. You think a person like me is going to win?
But you don't realize they don't just want the win. They want to put so much on top they can't lose.
Yeah.
Think about this. They got me. These people looked at the checks. They want to hate me, right? On trial, they already got me, right?
Yep.
Okay, this guy is a fraudster because he's making all this money. He's telling people they can make all this money with the Red Bull machines. The jury's already convinced, right?
Yeah.
Then they bring Dietrich in the trial from Austria. He doesn't have to come to the trial now. Think about this. It's this publicity with this because he's a multi-billionaire at the time. He comes in the trial and says that I met him at this Vegas trade show, which I did. Remember the trade show I talked about? That at the trade show, we went over the future of the business. We went over the can ordering system, but we also went over this memo he sent me, this 30-page memo of all the bad things I was doing to warn me not to do them anymore.
There's your signature on it?
Now, listen. If he showed me a memo there, all the bad things, I'd say, I'm not doing business with you anymore. You get out of here, right? I would be suspect, red flags, right? He didn't give me a memo there. So they show the memo, and they show underneath each of the signature lines is type my name, full name, like Andrew J. Levinson, his full name, like Dietrich, whatever his middle name was, Warshad. So, and then him signed, mine unsigned. Not even signed. It's not even my signature. He didn't even try to dupe my signature on it. So my lawyer says, you can't put this in evidence. He didn't even, it's unsigned. So the Judge Kahn says, did you see him sign it at the trade show? Oh, yes. Oh, I'm going to let the jury see it then. The jury saw a document he could have made 2 days before that he went to the trial. I've never seen this document. It's unsigned.
That's crazy.
And the jury's got to read the 30 pages of things that the government says I was doing now that didn't say I was doing then, that Dietrich said he was warning me that I shouldn't do.
But he still wanted to talk about 6 months.
Jason, I think that can you come back and do another part 2 with us?
I could come back and do 10. I got
because you're right down the street and you're here all the time.
I want to ask one thing. Since we touched on the Derek and Matt Cox, tell the audience what type of person Matt Cox was in prison and Derek too.
Sure. Matt in prison was a gregarious guy. He was a talker like me. I mean, he was a fun-loving guy. He wasn't a bad dude in prison. He just had a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of stories about him going to homeless people, staying on their identity, telling them they got to do a survey, and I don't want to do a survey with my Social Security. And they'll tell the homeless people, oh, you got to get $20 for the survey. Okay, I'll give you my Social Security.
What did everybody
number.
think about him in there, you thought?
So everybody thought that he was a fraudster, but they thought that he was a decent guy, like he was a happy-go-lucky guy.
Okay. What about
Derek? Was a complete junkie. Derek was a full-of-crap junkie. So Derek wasn't a bad guy. Lied all the time. Derek wasn't a bad guy. Like I talked to Derek, and Derek could tell stories. Like it's fun telling stories about the George Brothers and the pill clinics, and him being the bouncer out there, and guys coming in all high and getting pills and stuff. Okay, that's fun for a while.
Yeah.
I hear that story for a while. Like even my story is fun for a while, but my story is fun because it's big. It's Red Bull. Yeah. It's all this. Him too with the pill clinic. So I'm not going to write a book on it because I've been asked in prison by Vanity Fair, Playboy, you name it. Any publication you name went to me to tell stories in the beginning, begging me to tell stories. But for one, I can't get paid because I have restitution. Yep. Okay, they're gonna say I'm a scumbag. They're gonna paint me as a fraudster. My wife and daughter have already been through trial, and my mother, like, why do I want to put out publicity? Everybody said you're stupid. Why you get publicity? Catch me if you can. All those people, they wanted to do stories on me, all of them, and I always said no because. One, I'm not going to give it. Two, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to look like worse to my family. It just doesn't make any sense. They want to be notorious in there. Yeah. They want to be notorious, but they don't want to go to trial. They don't want to be a gangster like that. Okay, so what I'm saying is Derek would tell these outlandish stories. Some of them probably true, some of them probably not. But I'm saying he was too eager to tell them. Yeah. He was too eager. And Matt, in hindsight now, I can't say it. I didn't pick it up because I got a bullshit meter that's the best in the world, right? But Matt was a little bit too interested in my case, like deep. And I put it off to so you're in prison. It's a whole day you got to make up, and you're in prison for a long time. Yeah. So of course, stories going to come up, and stories you're going to tell people things. But Matt was real curious about like individual stuff with my case, and real serious about the money. Like, why did you keep all the money in the bank? Well, because I was a businessman. I was legitimate. Why didn't you put it in a PVC pipe? Now, some of like the the homeboys from the neighborhood say that and stuff like that. He's supposed to be a fraudster that's like a business guy, so to speak, a realtor and all that. Like, why I kept the money in the bank? Because I was going to fight for my freedom, and I didn't want to show that I wasn't, scammingly putting $1 million in a PVC pipe. Come on.
Yeah.
Like if they went to the thing, where did this $1 million go? What am I going to say?
Yeah.
No, I want to say
look bad.
I want to go to trial and say, look, at every single dollar was put in the bank. Every single dollar was paid taxes on, so the government couldn't say that.
Yep.
But the jury doesn't care about that.
They don't care.
They care about it.
We'll hear more from Red Bull later on because he's a guy here.
Yeah, you can call me Red Bull. I've been called Red Bull. My name's Andrew Levinson.
I don't even know your name.
I don't
even know his name.
It's Andrew Levinson.
I mean, Red Bull, you've been coming around for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Red Bull. Everybody here knows you. And
So listen, I'm glad to do this the first time. I've been asked by 30 people to do podcasts.
So were you your first podcast?
Yes, because I've said no to everybody.
Nice.
I've said
Thank
you
you.
name.
Awesome, man.
No, you name the podcast that I've been asked. Not just everybody.
Same thing here.
So what happened was at first I was reticent because I was afraid I wasn't going to get my story completely out, which I'm happy you guys will let me tell my side mostly. And the second thing is that a lot of these guys have nefarious, things behind them. They have the government behind them still. The government's always against me. I always get the worst deal.
I'll tell you what.
So I'm scared of it. Listen to me. They broke me. Like, you don't realize I've been broken. I'm not going to jaywalk anymore. So tell me. I was a gangster back then. I went to trial selling the FU in front of the government. Okay, call me a gangster, whatever. Now I just want to see my family. I just want to see my daughter grow up. I just want to see my grandkids.
Out of all the guys we've discussed, even though you got a problem with his brother, Ian did take him to trial and lost just like you.
Okay, there you go.
And he let you talk. So he might enjoy that one as well.
I might say yes to Ian now. I'm not saying I just didn't know Ian. I didn't know him for Adam. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad. He just looks like a geeky kid. I didn't even know he went to prison.
Me and him had a beef.
I had the same
I thought he
thing
was
as
just
you.
interviewing
That's
prisoners.
why at first I said no.
Jason knows because I used to call Jason and bitch about him all. Me and Ian had beef for almost a year and a half. And another podcaster, Kevin Lanning, made us make up.
Yeah.
And then I went and did his show.
Listen to me. I was told not to
Ian's
tell this
pretty
podcast name. I won't tell you the person because I vowed not to, and I keep my word. But I was told by him, and he could be elaborate, he could be lying, but I was told that he got a call from Red Bull not to put me on a show. Not Ian. I'm not going to say it's Ian. I'm going to say it's somebody.
I don't believe it.
So I don't believe that. That's why I'm not saying this person's name. But that Red Bull got involved and say, I could care less if Red Bull comes and sues me and says cease and desist and that. Everything I'm telling is true. Everything, you can look it up. Yeah. Red Bull came to me. Red Bull had a contract. I had a contract with Red Bull. Listen to me. If it puts a bad light on Red Bull, who cares? They did shut my contract. They deboed me. And they said, F you, sue me, which I did. But when I sue them and I get millions of dollars, it goes towards my restitution. I can't get any money from it. Okay. So, but listen, Red Bull completely used me. Some of it's my fault. A lot of it's their fault because I promoted their brand and they never helped me with that. Okay, so big companies do that. There's no shock. I shouldn't be shocked. Nope. I'm no babe in the woods. But I'm telling you, I've had people tell me Red Bull's done it before. So I'm saying this. A podcaster told me that Red Bull came to him. Probably not, but maybe.
I don't believe.
But
how would they know?
Maybe.
Well, they know because I was talking to them about it before, and then word gets out. Word gets out quick now. When people are on the other team, listen.
No. I agree with you saying on the team, but I agree with that. Let's come back.
What if Matt Talks told the government, hey, that Red Bull's looking to do a thing? He'll probably come out now because I've done the show, but like he's thinking doesn't want to do any podcasts because I didn't want to do it because I don't want. Yeah. I want to do this for two reasons. This is the complete honest truth. I want people to know about the system. Because the system hasn't really been talked about.
No, it hasn't been. That's why we do what we do because I went to trial and I've been hammered every which way.
Me too.
I don't hold back. You can ask Kyle. I don't hold back at all.
Nope,
right, but here's the second thing. I wanted to know about all these fake gangsters.
Oh, God.
Everybody, there's so many fake.
Why do you do a whole show on that?
Why do you think we're going to do a whole show?
We're going to do a whole show on that.
So what I'm saying is this, but people that you would never suspect that you don't even, they look like this, but I can see the same. So what I'm saying, I'm not puffing on my chest about it. But every single step of the way, I fought them. I've never talked to an FBI agent. I've never even had a conversation with the government. Not even one conversation. Because why? I'm going to fight you. Why would I want to talk to you?
Well, I look at it
that might be stupid. That might be stupid because they would offer me a great deal without telling. Yeah. Okay? They already talked about offering me a deal with telling. This is through my attorney.
I looked at it as like a business thing. No matter what, I still associated with them and talked to them. Like if they're like, "Hey, Jason, can we speak about a deal?" I'd be like, "What's up? I want to hear it."
This was not
because
business.
At the end, I kept saying no because no matter what, I didn't want. The thing about it is I still would give them the respect to hear them out, just like whatever. And the thing it boiled down to is I wasn't going to take a plea deal because I kept saying, "Show me what I did wrong, and I'll take a plea deal." Until then, I'm not taking a plea deal, and they could never show me. So I refused to take one.
But the fact is, in hindsight, to show them what the system has done to me, how they've done it, what they did in trial, what they did before trial, I don't have respect for them.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I totally understand.
So what I'm saying, they're trying to take away my freedom.
Yeah.
They're trying to take my freedom at any cost.
See,
so
mine
listen, when
was-
somebody's trying to take your freedom at any cost,
But
I don't
was
want
a
anything to do
gangster.
with you.
I was a gangster.
I'm not saying you
though.
weren't a gangster.
See,
I'm just saying
I
this.
did a lot of bad, so I knew I was a drug smuggler. My story goes real in depth.
No, but I guess what I'm saying
but
is,
what they
I
were
guess what
charged
I'm
me
saying is
for,
this.
I.
But you're a
didn't
different
do.
guy now, though.
Yeah.
Because the true gangsters, and I'm a different guy now too. Because before I wouldn't even think about doing Matt Cox's podcast because the guy just gave somebody else that I knew in prison more time. Okay, so why give him even the platform to make his more when my story is bigger than his?
No, I agree.
So why give him the credence of me putting it on there? And people go, oh, Red Bull, I like this guy. What's this guy talking about?
But you'll come back and do ours again, right?
I'll come back and do yours 10 times.
So because he's got something to do.
Yeah.
I want to have you come back on and talk about prison because I want a story from a white collar guy that
Yeah.
actually started the medium like Kyle
Yeah.
did and just like that. And explain because he has a lot of people calling and asking like,
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as what people make it out to.
I want to talk to you about the fact that I have clients, right? I just had one the other day who's on a $3 million fraud, and his lawyer told him that he's hoping for probation or home confinement.
Jesus.
So we want you to come back for that.
Okay.
And we want you to tell your side, what you see it from your
right,
lens.
And I will, Deb. I'll talk about all
Yeah.
that. And I will talk about, but I want to talk about maybe that show and another show about the system itself.
No,
though.
we will.
sure.
All
Okay?
of it.
And then
I'd
and
love
then
to have
the
you
third
over
thing,
again.
if people wanted to hear about this is all if people want, because I don't know what people
want
want
to hear about the system.
But do people want to hear about how I got into business opportunities?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Like because that's a whole other story.
Yes.
And I mean, that's if you know my story, that's what I did.
But people ask me all the time, like somebody would call you, see an ad in the newspaper or online, call you up, talk to you for 10 minutes, get a business package, call you back, and send you $50,000 without even seeing you. Yeah, all the time.
Okay. Now hold it. We don't want you to. We don't want
let
you to
me
give
talk
up too
about-
much.
Let me talk about.
We want this next time.
We're gonna go in just a second because we're running
No, but
out of
how I
time.
created
But
that
one of
seems
my
easy. Like, oh, I got a contract with Red Bull. There's way more stuff to
Listen,
go
yeah.
along with
I
it.
know, I get
I
it.
just get a
watched
contract
this
with Red
thing.
Bull on
But
lock.
we want to hold
I
that for
watched
the next
this
show.
thing. Listen about people, right? I watched this thing with Don LaProy before. I think he's dead now, right?
Yes.
But about how he used to make money in his little apartment and all
Yeah, of
this
course.
bullshit. And then I forget how I learned it, but I saw something that said you could go into Guidepost magazine. You know those little
Yeah, sure,
newspapers. Right? It's not too late to send me $5,
Right, of course.
and put a post, a mailbox, etc.
Right.
And people would just send
Yes.
you $5 money orders for no fucking reason.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I used to do
but
this.
people don't realize when I gloss over it and say I had a contract with Red Bull, I did all this. There's way more stuff that goes into
no, it does.
how I started that and the framework.
Agree.
Like you just don't get that.
No. Right.
You don't get Dietrich, the guy that had a Red Bull, come to your company
In
start-
Sunrise,
and start
Florida.
unannounced to do business like from nothing.
Let's just do a part 2. We don't want to get
We'll
too
do
much
part
into
2,
it.
part 3, part 4.
Yeah. Let's
Whatever
get
it takes,
in.
whatever, and what the people want
We'd
to hear.
love
So
to
I
have
want
you
to
back.
hear what the people want to hear about the system and everything.
So light up
Let's-
the
let's-
comments and let us
yeah.
know what you want to hear.
Exactly.
Until next time, find Jason Voucherbeck at 8UpJ and me at Federal Prison Tips and us at 10toespodcast.com.